Hello and a very, very warm welcome. Good afternoon and welcome to the FEI Eventing European Championships here at the wonderful facility that is Hartpury University and College in the heart of Gloucestershire. We've seen some action already this morning, an action-packed morning from the junior competition, and we will now concentrate on the young riders as we move on to their section. 2 days of dressage. Phoebe Hughes for Great Britain leads with George Brock's Top Yachts on 25.7. The stage is very much set. Eric Winter has designed and built with Dominic Moore a fantastic track out there on the cross country, and we're very much looking forward to bringing you all of the action live on Clip My Horse via FEI TV. The distance for the young rider cross-country course is 4,590 metres with an optimum time of 8 minutes and 21 seconds. The team from Germany go into the cross-country in gold medal position, and it's very, very tight at the top indeed. Germany lead, Great Britain in silver and France in the bronze. It could all change though. 89.1 is the German team score, 93.2 for the British team, and we are in for a treat. Sitting alongside me, two legends of the sport, Ginny Howe and Lucinda Green, will be guiding you through all of the action as we go and have a look at the start list this afternoon, because it is 40 or so horse and rider combinations coming forwards to tackle Eric Winter's cross-country course. And the first to go for Sweden, Wilma Nyland and Stinger, a horse that's been to top level with Ludwig Spanischal. For Spain, Mario Nicola. Alex Casban there with Top Spin, a horse that went round Badminton. Polly Muirhead, Penhill Touch of Class for Great Britain. A number of nations represented in the team competition. Amongst them, there are 8 teams in all, with individual riders as well. Then Christina Stroninger, great test from her on the first day on Thursday. Shannon's Green, Continus, Elvira Rosenberg and Guy. Heather O'Connor, HSH, has it all for Ireland, 15th out. Ibel Watson, Aristoteles SZ, a brilliant performance. They were overnight leaders on Thursday until the big guns came through on the Friday and dropped them down a few places. Ava Banahan, Calvin for Ireland. Hedvig Wikström and Pinrocks, Fade to Black for Finland, 24th. Anna Svein, Electronic for Sweden. Matilda Piovani and Born West for Italy, 30th out of the combinations. Millie Julev and All We Need, team rider for Team Great Britain. Phoebe Hughes, individual rider, leader after the dressage of 2 days with Top Yachts. And then Amanda Anderson, Jersey, team rider for Sweden. We go down into that final rotation of team riders. Pao Catella Sune, Jennifer Kuhnler for Ireland, Sammy Davis Jr., Calvin Bachmann, previous winner of a European title, Molly Faulkner and Courtney Cooley, the last to go for France. Julie Simonet will be the 44th rider out. Well, Ginny, we commentated through the juniors earlier on today, and there will be German going through into the show jumping. What a treat it was, though.
Absolutely fantastic, hasn't it been? Yes, absolutely brilliant.
Well, Lucinda Green will be joining us as well. Very much everybody getting settled into their places to watch the cross country. There is our first. These are live pictures of the start box, and they start off over 4 fairly straightforward fences. First combination comes at fence 5. And this is our Swedish combination, Wilma Nyland and Stinger, Swedish warm blood, 15 years old now, owned by Stanengara, by Spender S, and a former ride of the Swedish international Ludwig Spanischal, who took this horse to Tokyo last year.
Yes, a very experienced horse here, and it's fantastic, giving valuable experience for Wilma at her championships.
Well, Team Sweden sitting down in 8th place after dressage. Wilma Nyland, Elvira Rosenberg, Anna Svein and Amanda Anderson, the team members. So as they set off on Eric Winter's track, now they're running at around 550 metres per minute as opposed to 520 in the juniors. 4,590 metres, optimum time 8 minutes and 21 seconds. Every second over that optimum time incurring 0.4 of a time penalty, and wanting to be as close, if not under that optimum time, but not too close. We've still got another phase to go. It's called an equine triathlon.
It is indeed, yes. They want to get as close inside that optimum time as possible, and then still have enough power and energy for the show jumping phase tomorrow.
So crossing over the road down to the Comscope Ruckus cord pile, this lovely wood cord pile at 4. Nice run and jump fences as they come down to the 4th on the left-hand side. We're now following the green background fences, numbers that are on those flags, up the bank, different route to the juniors, and on to the Hartpury Sport Plank Spreads, 5A, B. 3 strides in between, then drops down the bank away, turns left-handed, and onto the Hartpury Equine Academy Acorn. That owl hold type fence, Ginny, running down past the Sports Academy and the rugby pitches.
Yeah, exactly. I'd like to say it was a let-up fence, but it'll still you still have to ride it well, and having the roof on it as well, you have to really consider that.
And then a different course for the young riders as she checks her clock, and they go past what was fence 7 in the juniors. One of the longest galloping parts of the course as they go uphill. Sting is flying. Absolutely fantastic, flying up the hill. Along the top of the hill, they come to the Elite Stallion cart at 7, and then what is a pretty difficult combination, the Hartpury Digital Innovation Farm Garden, still going on that top line. We might lose them up here because they go across the road. That undulation, the great use of the topography, and as they go uphill, they disappear. We might just keep an eye on them. We will. That is because the team from Pivot Productions and Paul Tapner and his team have got brilliant camera positions out there. Oh, we didn't. They're behind a tree, but that's where they are. They've jumped through the gardens right in front of the house, and then they'll go out of view for a second onto the Hartpury Equine Arch.
It's an interesting fence there. It's got a bullfinch, which is something that we don't always see out on courses. I actually asked Eric yesterday about that, and I think it's a nice thing to see. It's really good. It's a good experience for the horses, but some horses may not have seen something like that.
It definitely is. Well, they've jumped the bullfinch fence at 9, now down to the jump 1 castle wall at 10. A single fence big, but this is where it gets tricky now. Coming down to the Bailey's Horse Fees Water, 11AB, we were scratching our heads. There is a direct route in. 11AB is 1 jump. There are 2 long routes. I would think Slinger will go straight. And then on to 12AB. She is turning off that right-handed turn to jump in over that log. Set back from the step. Jump in. Splashing through the water, and now these 2 very narrow fences, and taking a bit of a liberty, but just eating up the course.
He is having a great time. I mean, look, he's seriously motoring.
This is our second combination away for Spain. Now Mario Nicola with Acrobat Star, Self-Francais Bed, 12 years old. And the Spanish team who lie down in 7th place, and Mario Nicolas with a dressage of 39.8. James, will we get those dressage scores up? Yes, it was a second ago. Thanks. So that dressage 39.8 left them down in 40th place. 47 combinations coming forwards to the cross country. And I have to say, if you weren't watching the juniors earlier on, we talked a lot about the amount of water that's been put on the course, Ginny.
Yeah, they've put so much effort into the ground, and it's really important. We've got class horses here, and particularly this time of year, it's not been great for rainfall, but the amount of water that the team here have done, you can really tell. Like, they've done a great job with the ground.
You certainly can. When you're walking the course, it feels like carpet underneath you. And like you said, we've had unprecedented dry weather in Great Britain. And the rain, we've just not had the rain, but they've been out there, they've been watering and watering and watering. They've got a lake down in the bottom. They jump through that on the return home, and that's where they've been getting the water from. A lot of places and a lot of courses don't have that excellent facility, and we're very lucky at Hartpury to have that. As they turn back now to the apple cart, that apple cart down there at 17. Now the Burkitt's Route Bulls at 18A, B and C. And this is a big question. So they climb up the hill away from us, and then they go back up to what was fence 9 earlier on in the juniors, but jumping in the opposite direction. It's a real test of absolute accuracy. Woo, 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 stinger. Yeah, well, that was at the bunker a little bit ago as we go back up course to Mario Nicola and Acrobat Star. Lovely looking horse as they make their way now to the water for the very first time. The Bailey's Horse Feeds Water, 11AB and 12AB. Tight turn in.
Been quite a deliberate turn in there so that he could have the time to come back to that skinny, and lovely through there.
They're quite forgiving, aren't they, as well, being that much brush on the top. You can afford, not that we want to a lot of the time, but afford to have a little bit of a mistake there.
Yeah, you can. In previous years they have had corner combinations, and they're
open corners,
less, yeah,
not very nice.
less forgiving, so having that brush, it's nice. You can still ride up to it.
Well, away from the start for Italy, this is Leonardo Maria Fraticelli and Bellamy DHI. DHI, the prefix of the Woodheads, Dressage Horses International, and they go away from the second. This Dutch-bred 16-year-old by Ecuador, owned by Nicola Magoni. Dressage score 37.3 in 34th place.
So we've got the next fence now approaching the one that is like an owl hole, and then it's a really long pull up the hill and for the table at the top, and then you jump into the garden. But it's quite a long stretch.
Well, this is back with the Italian combination, 4th European Championship after Fontainebleau, Marsbergen, and they were 3rd in the team last year in the European Championships. 2 bronze medals and a gold in the National Championships. So Mario Nicolas and Acrobat Star.
He rode that really well. He got back, changed down the gears, and really had the element of control and made that turn to the skinny very easily.
Well, provisional score for Wilmer, Nyland and Stinger around in 8 minutes 27 seconds. Well, they were 5 seconds over 2.4 time, and they will go through to the show jumping tomorrow. In fact, that just changing. We're just waiting for their score to be confirmed. And it is now confirmed at 2.8 time. 46.6 is the score that they take forwards to the show jumping tomorrow.
Well, we do know that our first go there, Stinger got home. They did practice a couple of time penalties though, 2.8 and 2 their time.
The Spanish rider, they're just coming through 19A and B, the 2 water shields. Really nice, jumped through, made a turn and made it happen for the 4 strides.
Well, as he disappears out of view, around on that turn, we go back to Leonardo Maria Fraticelli and Bellamy DHI. And next in front of him will be the Bailey's Horse Feeds Water. This Dutch-bred gelding coming around on the right-hand turn. It's very easy to cut that turn short and not give the horses enough time, and they did just that, unfortunately. So there is a longer route. It's a mile and a half long when they want to take that long route.
Yeah, it definitely takes up the seconds, but there, having had that fault at the in element, it's a sensible option. Taking the A and B.
So this is that replay a short while ago. You can see Bellamy DHI having a really good look, and that is where you can see that log. You didn't really get to see that with the first horse jumping it, but it's set well back from the step, and it looks like a bit of a Trakehner type fence.
It does, exactly, and they've become quite popular, I think, this season. And the horse just looked down into the ditch a little bit and saw the water.
Well, away from the start, this is Cooley Bounce and Alana Kelly for Ireland. 12-year-old gelding by Grange Bouncer, owned by Caroline Kelly, trained by Ian Cassells and Gerald Bloomer and Heike Holstein. Alana part of the silver medal winning team at the Young Rider team in 2021. 12th individually at those Europeans last year.
Here we see Alana just coming up into the gardens, the Hartpury Digital Innovation Farm Garden. They just go out of view temporarily, and then we shall see them come back into shot.
This is the fence that I'm really interested in seeing, because we've walked that yesterday a couple of times, and gravity kind of takes over there, but it's a real rider fence. They've got to do the balancing, because the approach is the landing, and they've really got to think about what they're doing and how they ride that, what gear they're going to jump that in as well.
I think it will be very influential, that fence, Spencer.
Alana Kelly and Cooley Bounce coming on and capitalising from their European Championship debut when they finished 12th at European Championships last year individually. And as I said, part of that wonderful team that picked up the silver medal. Will they do that again here at Hartpury? Pulling on strongly.
Huge jump in.
Good job to pick up the knitting quite quickly. I have to say, Cooley Bounce was eyes on, looking for the next fence, and that's how you want the horses to be. When you're training the horses, you know, they pick up the flags and did a lot of it there. Lubusa Lubuka is away with Karamia 34 for Germany. European Championships, she competed in the ponies back in 2016. Team Gold individually 9th, and at the European Championships last year, Team Gold, and has had 4-star starts since 2020. Combination that are getting well into their groove. And this, I think, is where we've got horse and rider combinations at the Young Rider Championships here that have jumped round Babington, that have jumped round some decent 4-stars, and real stars of the future.
Real stars of the future, absolutely. Yes, certainly 2 in the field have jumped round Babington, and I mean, wow, what experience to have under your belt then coming to your European Championship.
We were chatting about that before we came live on air, and I said, we used to go to the European Championships on Mum's Hunter. You know, it's just a different ball game now, isn't it?
Completely different. Times have changed, and there's some, oh God, there's some class horses, isn't there?
There really, really are. So just waiting down at the start. Looks like
6, and they'll soon be in to our view as they head up here towards
Alice Casburn, it looks like, top spin. Talking about Badminton runners, and she had a run around Badminton this year.
And didn't she have a great one?
She certainly did.
Yeah.
Owned by Mother Caroline Casburn, as we go back upfield to the Irish combination.
Cooley Bounce is answering every question, isn't he? He's really motoring. And you can see his ears pricked. He's looking for the flags.
I don't think really he's ever stopped looking for the flags. As Alice Casburn gets into the start box or thinks about going near it, and she is starting on a very good score in the Young Riders with top spin, and part of the team 33.8.
Nice.
As genuine as honest as the day is long.
Yeah, isn't he just? And yeah, he really helped her out there. The momentum going down the hill after jumping the A element, it just catches you up with that skinny at B and C, but he's genuine as they come.
Alice Casburn is away then with top spin. We said that the horse that she rode round Badminton very successfully this year, owned by mother Caroline Casburn, a top-class three-day event rider herself. Previously double clear, Alice, at the Young Riders. One wonders if the luck is just running out slightly with these two, but they're getting away with it, and you do need a little bit of luck on your side. Some people disagree with that and say you don't have any luck, you don't need luck. But I'm sticking with it. I'm saying that luck is on her side at the moment.
So it'll be interesting seeing the approach coming to the water here. The last couple of riders have just came a bit quick, I think, around the turn. But that was really nice, really controlled, and then he got rewarded by a lovely jump in. And then the distance came up really nice. Yeah, really well ridden. And I think they took a lot of time to prepare for the turn and got rewarded.
Alice Casburn, top spin, jumps the fourth, comes to the first of the combination fences at 5, A and B. So they go up the mound. This is a new mound. Well, relatively, it was man-made to make a real feature of the cross-country. And then down the other side, left-hand spin they go, down to that owl hole type fence at 6.
Oh, thank you.
So Alice Casburn will disappear. She was 19th, the highest climber and the best under 25 rider at Badminton back in the spring. Second at Blair 4-star, long in the autumn last year, and double clear at Po 5-star before coming to a Young Rider European Championships. Not a bad prep.
I mean, yeah, what a great CV it is there. I mean, wow.
Jumps the acorn and cart, makes the turn, and
Lubusa Lubaka and Karamia, 34 shots of them as they approach the bunker combination. That bunker at 16 A, B and C.
They're jumping that skinny well, and it's just on rising ground. So it almost acts a little bit like a springboard, but that's good, very nice.
And away over the apple cart as well. So up to Burkett's root balls at 18 A, B and C. That's the fence that we saw a short while ago. Alana Kelly and Cooley Bounce jumped down a little bit dicily, but 2 time penalties they picked up on the cross country. They go forwards to the show jumping on 35.1.
Here we see Alice, and she's just jumped that big brush oxer there for house, and then it's coming round to the water.
I mean, having jumped into the water at Po and at Badminton, this should be fine.
You would like to think so.
Oh, really nicely through there, really showing their experience. Top spin is 14 years old. New starter for France, this is Jade Bourgeois. Victor de Diane N, 33.6 the dressage, owned by the Institut Français de Cheval et de l'Équitation. 7th in the 3-star over in France at Le Pouget in the 7-year-old class. So Jade Bourgeois up at the planks.
today it's all about the young riders, 19
We're down at the start. Our next to go will be for Spain. Individual rider for Spain. We've gone through now our first rotation of riders. So 8 teams in all in the competition.
For Jade Bourgeois and Victor.
And it
They
will
now
be
head downhill
Ines
towards
Godino,
cars sponsored
Falcon
by
Crest.
Elite Stallions. Up ahead of them,
Falcon
Luis
Crest,
Lebec.
a 12-year-old. Alice Casburn at the bunkers. 3 elements as opposed to 2 in the young riders. I think personally, and it's only personal, that the rails before the bunker actually set them up quite nicely then for the middle element.
Yeah, so I completely agree. It seems to be riding really nicely. Yeah, really, really nicely.
It kind of brings them there on a distance rather than having to gauge their way down the slope and then back up to the rail.
Exactly, like we saw in the juniors, the horses had to sort of pick their way a little bit, and then sometimes we're a bit close or a bit off.
Oh, here we go, here we go. This is that influential, well, we think it might be, but that was a lovely bit of balance riding down there. Just waited for the fence to come to her rather than chasing the fence down.
Yeah, she rode that so well, and that's exactly what you want. You land over the first element, have the control, have the balance, and then the 2 skinny fences will come up very nicely.
And away from the start, this is Ines Godino and Falcon Crest, 46.8 the dressage, silver medal at the Young Rider Spanish Championships in November in 2020 with this horse. Second in the 3-star short in Spain in May earlier this year. So again, a combination that comes forwards with some really good form.
So we are joined on course now by individual rider for Spain. This is Ines Godino.
So 46.8 their dressage in 46th place, on to the 3rd.
With a dressage score of 46.8, isn't it?
And a time in for Lubisa Lubka. Caramia 34, 8 time faults. They finish on 40.8.
The time is looking influential, isn't it?
It is.
Yeah. When you look at the juniors, most of them did go clear inside the time. So it is very influential.
I hate to say she's right, but our good friend Nicole Brown did a podcast saying that the 3-star time was quite tight. Eric Winter last night said, nah, it's not, it's easy.
Yeah,
Well,
we shall see.
We haven't had any yet. So Nicole, if you're listening, thumbs up, Equa ratings, not usually wrong. I love to prove them wrong, but I don't know whether we're going to on this occasion.
Left in this 14-year-old top spin.
Well, good to see so many people here. It looks a little bit quiet down there at the start. Most people are out on the course. There's also freestyle dressage going on, so you've got a great choice. If you want to watch the cross country, then you can. If you want to watch freestyle dressage, the young riders are doing their dressage in the main arena, in the international arena here at the FEI European Championships for dressage and eventing for juniors and young riders.
It's fantastic, isn't it? You can watch all sorts if you come to Hartpury.
Absolutely. Well, this wonderful facility, Hartpury University and College in the heart of Gloucestershire. Eric Winter, our course designer, also very good course designer, as we know, designing the likes of badminton, and what a job he's done there. Going back up course to Jade Bourgeois, Victor de Diane N at the bunkers. This little fence here can just slip away from you quite quickly, can't it?
It can. She went very wide on the turn there, but she was quite free coming through the first 2 elements. For me, maybe jumping B and then getting your eye back on that skinny so you didn't go quite so wide.
Overnight in the dressage. Good luck to those about to come onto the course.
Well, next to join us on course will be individual rider for France, just going into the start box. This is Lisa Gualtieri with Vendée Globe Jacques HDC. 13-year-old by Nissan Quality Touch, owned by Eddie Gualtieri.
One away from the start then is number 308.
Well, they bring forward a dressage score 35.2, lying in 26th place after the first phase. Back to Jade Bourgeois, coming down to these, they call them roots, but they're very narrow fences. The root at the top, that log with the exposed roots up there at 18 ABC, sponsored by Burkett's, the root balls. Spanish combination, Ines Godino and Falcon Crest. They're about to come to the bunker fence by the looks of things. In fact, they're a little bit further on down the course, so they're at the water. 11 AB, 12 AB. Talk us through this, Jen.
She set up really well through the turn there, and the horse did just doubt itself slightly as it saw the water at the last minute, but she rode really positively to the B element, so she got away with it. And the horse was genuine to keep jumping for her, and then nicely out over the sea.
Yeah, she really was. It was interesting the way the horse came out of the water, because water naturally creates a lot of splash. But then as he jumped out of the water onto the dry ground, made an extra jumping effort for him, which then put him really close to that little narrow fence.
Exactly, yeah, it just put him wrong, but she got away with it.
Yes, she did. Lisa Gualtieri, Vendy Globe Jack gallops nicely through that first combination at 5A and B. The Hartpury Sports plank spreads.
Lisa Gualtieri and
that is Polly Muirhead down at the start. She will be next to start with Penhill Touch of Class for Great Britain. Individual rider for Great Britain.
Today, but currently 27th place in their dressage overnight.
Well, it's a Spanish combination. Individual rider Ines Godino really showing us how to do it.
There is Polly.
Really well over the underbone.
Individual rider, as I said. Polly Muirhead
with a
dressage score of 35.8.
The bunker fence at 16, still running.
And now just coming to the bunker. We have our Spanish rider, and then look, she got her eye straight onto that skinny. Made the turn really easily. She didn't overshoot it at all. She was jumping the B element and then straight looking at that skinny. Lovely over the table. And now she's going to make the climb up to the tree roots.
Root rail fence 18.
So here we have Polly Muirhead, Penhill Touch of Class, 35.8 the dressage, lying in 27th place individually.
9. Horse Bondi, 13-year-old Bay Gelding, moving along in the middle part of his country effort.
So as they pop the first few run and jump fences,
well, so on course now, as an
they disappear uphill and on to the third and fourth. Coming to the water, the French combination of Lisa Gualtieri. Well, jumping one of the highest parts of the brush at 12A, Lisa Gualtieri and Vendy Globe Jack.
So we have in the middle of their cross-country effort, it is Lisa Gualtieri with Bondi. They nicely cleared the castle wall before they head towards their
We're talking about all the preparation that goes into these championships, and I'm told that Polly actually only got the call-up on Monday, so what an exciting opportunity for her. Obviously she'll have been preparing all season for something like this, and will have been on the list, but yeah, to get a call-up as the reserve just on Monday, how fantastic for her to be here.
Yeah, it's not bad, is it really? And very lucky for Polly. Completed their first 4-star at Burnham Markets up in Norfolk early in the season.
Lisa Gualtieri,
Victor, as he's known to his stablemates, supposed to be heading to Bergam this weekend, but instead of Bergam, they're here at the European Championships. I think I know where I'd rather be.
Yes, me too.
No disrespect to Bergam, but to get your flag and earn your wings, I think that is just such a special moment. As we go back to Ines Godino and Falcon Crest under the archway and jumping those 2 stone walls. Chasing down that optimum of 8:21. Polly Muirhead with Penhill Touch of Class. Of course, that horse ridden and started off his career with Millie Dumas.
Oh, right.
As Lisa Gualtieri. Vendy Globe Jack coming through the bunker. Very deliberate through there, wasn't she?
Very deliberate, yes, but it just gave you time just to get everything right and tick every box.
It's one of those tracks with the
Falcon Crest.
with the
And so
topography,
now,
with
just
the
last fence
uphill,
to be
down
announced,
dale, on the
the-
camber. It's quite energy zapping,
Lisa
and you've got
Gagliardi
to make
giving
sure
the
when you
A
go out of the
elements of
start
that
box, you've
bunker
got enough to
combination,
get
a real
home as
ruffle
well.
as they-
And until you gallop round these tracks, and these guys will know each other, they've been round a number of courses, you've got to gauge how they're feeling underneath you the whole way round.
You have, and it's a bit like they are athletes, at the end of the day, and some horses favour the hills, some horses prefer not to have such a hilly track. So, not every course suits every horse.
I'm sure that's where the expression horses for courses
Exactly.
came from. Penhill touch of class, Polly Muirhead. That was a good bit of riding from Polly coming into the water, because Penhill's touch of class just had a little look, questioned her, doubted her, and Polly said, no, no, it's fine. But there, Lisa Gualtieri, we said he might have been getting a little bit tired, didn't really read that question. She was very definite in her riding coming through the bunkers, gave that plant a bit of a roll, knows where his feet are going this time. And that was actually very brave on the horse's part.
Yeah, because the difficulty is, Spencer, as you come to that fence, we know that there's a drop on landing, but the horses don't.
And it's up to us to tell them and how we prepare them and how we press those buttons and send that message down the rein. But one of the things I was more impressed with there was that sometimes with the horses, once they've seen an exit door, they want to take it again. And getting that little island, the bowl of flowers in between his legs, I didn't know whether that was just going to spook him and frighten him a little bit to come back again, but she did a really good job. Well, I can give you a score for Ines Godinho Falcon Crest. They were round, no jumping, 20 time, and they complete on 66.8. Lisa Gualtieri putting the 20 penalties behind them now. Vendy Globjack galloping up to the tail end of the course. We go back, though, to the British individual rider, Polly Muirhead. Penhill, touch of class. Lovely the way that she jumped that fence in the middle, looking to the arrowhead.
Exactly, yeah, and then jumped the skinny very easily. Even a little peck on landing there, but she just rode forward away from it. Now she's got the tree roots to make that climb up the hill.
I was just about to say, I don't know whether she looks like she's been the fastest around, but having jumped that apple cart in the bottom, she suddenly pressed the accelerator again. And really lovely to see Penhill Touch of Class react.
Exactly, and that's where you can make up those valuable seconds. You jump your fence, land and move away.
So dropping down the hill, this is Christina Schoeniger and Sharon's Green Continus. Great dressage score for these two. They were right up there after day one, 30.5. Following the second part of the dressage, they dropped down into 8th place. They start in 8th place on 30.5. Homebred, previously ridden by Christina's sister.
She was quite quick through the turn there on the approach to that first element, which then meant that she landed into the water travelling and almost overshot the turn to the B element.
I think that's why I have a very special hatred for fences like that, because yes, the narrow part of the fence is what you're supposed to be jumping, but when you don't jump that narrow fence, you can jump anywhere between those flags, even if it's 9, 10 foot high, and get away with it.
Yep.
And does that really ask the question? Is that the question is jump the narrow?
Exactly, I'm with you. Yeah, I'm with you there. Had that have been a corner or a super skinny, then she wouldn't have got away
with it.
No.
No. Really nice to do there, Elvira Rosenberg and Guy. You know, we have some really difficult names to pronounce, and when you see a name like that, you're like, phew.
I think even I can pronounce the name of this one.
Yep, so
Polly Moorhead getting
Great scenes of the start. Just behind the start box, we don't get to see that, is the warm-up area where they've got a number of cross-country warm-up fences and show jumps as well. And you jump a number of them. There are some narrow fences out there, so they don't just walk down. For those that are tuning in that haven't seen cross-country before, there's plenty of warm-up fences for them to jump. This horse here, waiting down at the start, is David Becerra, Montesinos and Jamiro, team rider for Spain, and he's got grease on this horse's legs, Ginny.
Yeah, so should they touch anything or hit anything, it will enable them to just slide over a little bit more easily. Cautionary, really. Yeah, and you can see there it's all picked up in his tail as well, so just adding a bit of colour.
And penal touch class jump the last to complete.
So the Spanish rider in the team will be next to get underway. David Becerra Montesinos. 41.4 the dressage with Jamiro.
And here, as a rider, you just want to get in that start box and get on with it, and the horse also is looking particularly keen to get on with his job.
Absolutely. Well, these two have been competing well, they've been going very well, and David himself was second in the Spanish Championships for young riders recently. Another score in for Polly Muirhead and Penhill Touch of class 2.4 time. So didn't think they were going the fastest the whole way round. Riding as an individual, 38.2 is the score that she goes on to. Christina Schoniger and Schoen's Green continuous nicely through the bunker combination. And riding through there, Ginny, it's one of those fences, because of the undulation of the ground, you've really got to ride accordingly.
You have to, yes, and you've got to be in balance with your horse, not too quick, but you've got to have enough impulsion to get up the other side, and then you've got the C element that has the rising ground, so you've got to have the hind leg underneath them, but the connection down each rein.
We just see David Becerra, Montesinos and Jamiro jump through those beam fences. They are dimensionally the same as the juniors. They've still got that ditch underneath with the trees in there, but at this level with those horses, we just see that they are a little bit more experienced and trust the riders a little bit more.
Yeah, they're jumping through there really, really nicely, and they've just got a lot more mileage under their belt and just more experienced riders.
Absolutely right. As they continue their way, they'll go up towards the gardens now, jump in and out of the Hartpury Equine Academy. In fact, it's the Hartpury Digital Innovation Farm Garden. And then they'll come out over the Bullfinch, down to this castle fence here.
And that's quite a steep hill coming down to that Bullfinch, to that brush oxer at the bottom. So yeah, you've got to have the control, but at the same time you've got the clock ticking, so you don't want to hang around coming down that hill.
No, you certainly don't. Well, hitting that fence in front and behind was Guy Elvira Rosenberg.
So David Montesinos back into our view.
Is he looking a little bit tired, a little bit leg weary?
He just lost a little bit of rhythm through there, didn't he? And he sort of had to pick his way. Hopefully he's not on the tired side, because he's got a good climb up this hill now, and he's got a strong question at the top.
And this is what does, and it's one of those things. Going uphill and downhill, it can really zap the energy out of them. And I don't know whether you agree, but always downhill, you want to have that balance and control and try and let them freewheel up the hills.
Exactly, yeah, let them catch their breath a little bit and, yeah, just remain in balance. And there's a nice shot there just in the corner that you can see them coming over the Bullfinch. And then, as we were saying, yeah, down the hill here, you've got to stay in balance. You don't want the horses to lose their footing. But at the same time, you don't want to go too steady.
No.
He rode that really, really nicely. He was in balance, kept travelling.
I'm going to say it again. We've watched the juniors. The Spanish have really impressed.
Yeah.
And he, looking very stylish. Here we go, another one.
There we go.
I said there were a couple of colours. And this is Camilla Luciani.
Piebald
Athena
mare.
Quandolin, 40 dressage, member of the Italian team. Back though to David.
Huge jump in, and then his eyes straight away on the skinny. Yeah, fantastic.
What was so lovely to watch, I don't know whether we'll see that again, but what was so lovely to watch was his balance as that horse leapt into the water, gave it some real air time.
Yeah.
And he was there and looking.
And looking. And it's so important.
Well, Camilla Luciani with that dressage of 40. This Piebald mare by Quando. See, quite a lot of the Quando horses out now, don't we?
How many of them are piebald, I wonder?
Good question. Echo ratings.
So having come out of their first water combination, they now pop over the gate at 13, does David Montesinos and Jamiro.
So second rider for Italy. Camilla Luciani goes away out of sight. Waiting down there at the start is the rider for Ireland. It's Heather O'Connor, HSH, has it all. Dressage score 36.4. The Irish team are lying down in 4th place. Alana Kelly on that 35.1.
Well,
Heather O'Connor there at the start.
Of the course for Sweden's,
Owned by Heather, bred by Sean Barron. And this is an 11-year-old by Puissance.
To go now for Guy and Elvira. Camilla Luciani.
Heather double clear, a 9th individually at the Young Rider European Championships in Sweden last year.
Was that a stride out? That made it look very easy.
Very easy.
Yeah. Just looks like he's upped the pace a little bit more here, so I'm wondering where his minute marker is. Whether he's just trying to get up on the clock so that he can just take his time in preparation for the
Team Ireland. It is
route
Heather
balls.
O'Connor.
Well, here comes Heather O'Connor. Heather with HSH has it all in 26th place on 36.4.
In 2021, this combination.
So double clear, 9th individually at the European Championships in Sweden, 7th at Mill Street in the 3-star short. And this year double clear and 7th at Ballandenisk over in Ireland.
This lovely piebald mare is cruising down the hill, and one of the older horses in the field, but certainly looking fantastic. Now it'll be interesting what line she takes to the water.
Yeah, 16 years old, this mare.
Makes nothing of that, doesn't even back up. And the rider there just really made that happen.
So Heather O'Connor jumps the first 4 fences, comes up to the first combination fence. The Hartpury Sports Plank spreads, 5A and 5B. Where are you going? Come in here. What? What are you doing? So David Becerra Montes and Jamiro. Galloping towards home. Few fences left to jump for them as they now come to the Rural Planning Practice Woodside at 22.
Just about halfway point and still clear up to now. Next away for Team Germany.
Down there at the start. This is Paula Reinsdorf with Alara W.
So the second
10-year-old
of
mare.
the Irish riders on the course today, it is number 328.
Owned by Anna Reinsdorf and Suzanne Reinsdorf, team member for Germany with a dressage score of 32.0 in 11th place. The coloured little piebald mare, 16 years old.
Full of running there, quick with her footwork. I'll be interested to see her time at the end because she's really been moving.
Camilla Luciani then going on to the tail end of the course into the start box.
So the
And
Hartpury Equine
now-
Archer 9, through that are Heather O'Connor and Has It All, moving
Away.
very well in the middle of their
It's a ride for
cross-country
Paula
effort.
Reinstorff and Lara W. Jumps the first, the NAF 5-star log at 1. And comes on to the Hartpury Animal House at 2. Interesting here, they swap sides, so they go from the right now to the left.
On course in this young rider.
Flying, absolutely flying. Our Irish combination, Heather O'Connor, HSH Has It All, down to the water at 11.
Now she just needs to get the control back on the approach, get your eye on that A element, that big log into the water. Really good balance through there. Lovely in. That comes up quite quick, that B element, doesn't it, Spencer, when you have that big bold jump in?
Yeah, it really does. You mean the A element, 12A?
Oh, no, and then to the B element. Oh, 12A. Well done, Spencer. We did walk the course.
11AB in.
Yeah, of course.
12A.
Yeah, okay, all right. Oops.
Don't worry, it's usually me that's wrong. No, it's easy to think though that it's an A and then a B, but it's not. It's two numbers going in, and then the 12A and B are the two brushes coming out.
So that actually meaning, for those of you not familiar with the rules, if you jump in and you do sort of land in a heap and you lose all your reins and your stirrups, you have got the option that you can circle away, do an alternative, or reapproach for the two skinnies without getting penalised.
Carolina was here with Vincent from Royal Bay Gelding. First European Championship for this combination. That rides 3 horses at international level. Mexico, Carolina, Robertsburg, and Vincent.
Well, the field is the start of the future here. In this, well, we had it in the juniors, we're also enjoying it in this young rider European Championship. All right.
We'll just keep a track of that at the same time as that.
Back with the Irish rider, approaching the bunker. Heather O'Connor, HSH Has It All. There, she rode that A element really well. She had her shoulders back, had the horse in front of her. That was one of the best through that bunker, I think. It's all about preparation and changing the gears for these combinations, giving the horses time to have a look and assess the question.
Where they line themselves up for those 18 A, B and C, the root balls.
Second team member safely home for it.
Looks as though we have... Oh. Paula Reinstorff cruising down the hill. Her next elements are going to be the water. Lara W. 32 dressage for them, and this will be a team score. Just lost a little bit of balance through the turn there. You could just see the hind legs spinning out, but they got away with it. They jumped well into the water and then really nicely through the two skinnies. Okay, back with the Irish rider, Heather O'Connor. Oh, what a shame. So big jump, just slightly lacking control over the A element, ran down the hill and the horse just misjudged the skinny. They were completely straight. And I think the rider sort of thought he was going to take off earlier than he did, and then he chipped in one last stride and sadly unseated them. But they both look to be absolutely fine. And you can see just there, Heather's air jacket has inflated. It's something that has become really popular with riders now, just to precautionary and just ease the fall. That was a real shame for them.
Well, good news for Team Germany. Paula Reinstorff comes down over the Andrews Bone step fence at 14. All 3 elements there jumped neatly by Lara W.
So no problems with the through the acorn at 6th then for Carolina Modelsbergen as they come slightly downhill to join us here at the cross-country control. Next for them it will be the elite.
Yeah. Yeah, so you can just see the horse just put back down again, just caught the brush. But there, Heather has managed to hold on to him, and both of them are absolutely fine. Just a very sad end to their day. Paula Reinstoff here with Lara W. Coming up to the bunker, just slightly tipped on landing there. Rode forward and up to the skinny.
Yep.
Well, our second team member, Emma Watson.
Carolina Modelsbergen and Vincent nicely over the farm garden combination 8A and B, and now away from us towards the archer 9.
Back with the rider now from the Netherlands, Carolina Modelsbergen on Vincent. And I am very lucky to now be joined with the lovely Lucinda Green for her knowledge and experience, which is vast, is it not, Lucinda?
I think I'm probably twice the age, but it's good fun to do it with her. We've had a lot of times together, haven't we?
We have.
Discussing cross-country in the good old days.
Many a memory from Hartpury as well.
Yes, absolutely. Many memories of me crashing and burning at Hartpury.
So here we have a really exciting combination, Ibor Watson, Aristotle's SZ, and look at that dressage, 29.5. They are approaching fence 4, oh, looking quite keen. Little bit close to that element, just made up quite a lot of ground along the top there. The horse jumped very boldly.
Big scoopy fellow, isn't he?
He
My
really
goodness,
is.
Because that's been riding lovely on just an even
come
3
through the
strides.
first of
and
the
he was
water
really
combinations and out over the
squeezing
gate
his
at
third.
13, so they're moving well in the middle of their cross-country effort. Next to come on to the course will be for France. It is number 305, Bordas Charlotte, with as Boyd Kappa, the name of the horse, 12-year-old chestnut gelding, 32.1 in the dressage, currently in 14th place. Well, unfortunately, Carolina Modelsbergen has had a natural refusal at the step element and the C element
Dutch
of that
coming in
step
from the
combination.
right.
So we wait to see
They're
how they
wearing
do when
orange.
they come
There's a very
back
good chance they're
around
representing
and
the Netherlands in
take
some way or
the
another.
In fact, they have
I think it might actually be a French rider, Lucinda.
Do you think they might not be?
Yeah.
All the rest are for Germany completes.
Ah, yes, now I'm on the bicycle.
Oh, I was on the rider,
Yes,
sorry.
I wasn't game to identify the rider. I made a mistake doing that in the juniors earlier today, trying to get there ahead of the
9.
So yes, we do have a French rider in the start box, just leaving the start box.
So Carolina Modelsbergen and Vincent are over the ice house at 15.
Charlotte Bordas, and the horse is Asboy de Kappa and a team member, Self-on-Say Gelding by Tinker's Boy. 32.1 dressage, lying 14th overnight.
Charlotte and Asboy de Kappa over the first 2.
Back with Ibor Watson here. She's come down the hill. Lovely jump over that element there.
Interestingly, Spencer says this horse has jumped her off once or twice. He's by the Olympian Arco that Nick Skelton rode in Athens. very nearly won a medal. His owner had the champagne already, and then he ground to a halt in the jump off. This was his sire's. This horse is Aristoteles' sire, Arco, so he's got a huge jump. Oh, luckily he didn't use too much of it into the wall, because it would be very tricky when they land if they do an enormous jump in. And off she goes.
And she's flying.
A good one.
In terms of breeding, Lucinda, we're seeing quite a lot of show jumping sires coming through and breeding great event horses.
Yes, it's quite necessary nowadays to have horses that can jump. And if they're too careful, then they're possibly not brave enough, but they've just got to be able to get up in the air on the third day in the show jumping. It's so expensive if you have a fence down. In the good old days, it was 10 penalties for a fence down, and the poles were very heavy. So it didn't really matter that the horses weren't great jumpers.
A
Now it
and
does
B,
matter.
and they now turn left-handed down the
That was very nicely done there for the French rider, Charlotte
Meanwhile, up
Bourdas.
ahead of them, the second water combination has been cleared by Carolina Modesbergen and Vincent.
Aristoteles then really nicely down over the Andrew Bone step fence at 14. Next away for Austria, an individual rider here, Robin Kingdom, riding a highlight 9. Number 300 will be next to start.
Yes, she was going to leave one of us here and put one of us over there.
Eva Watson making her way to the bunker, boldly in. She just sits her shoulder back, gets her eye onto the sea element. Very nicely done.
Getting the reins back together as they jump over the second element of that. Getting a little long in the reins, but I think she's got them all back together now.
It just goes, doesn't it?
He
Goes
really
and
does.
jumps. Good old Ibble, brave girl, keeps on coming, but he's a lovely jumper. I'd be very surprised if he made a mistake and hit one.
Here we have Ibble approaching the influential 18 ABC, the Burkett's root balls.
Just an awkward line, isn't it, Ginny? They don't totally see it as they come over the route and the bump on top.
No, exactly. And then they just run down the hill and their momentum carries them forward.
Very brave jump in and very contained line out. Moving on a bit for the last, but why not? They're soft as anything, those fences. You're unlucky to get into too much trouble at them.
And an Austrian rider, our latest starter, Robin Erikinger, riding highlight 9, a Trakehner gelding. He is pricked. Beautiful on the 3 strides. Over the bank, just running alongside the rugby courts. Next to the Hartpury Equine Academy acorn that we don't actually see in shot, but it's what I'd call a little bit more of a let-up fence. And then you have that long climb up the hill.
Did hit the sea element on fence 14. The steps are, but they are clear. And now also clear over the ice at 15.
Charlotte coming to the bunker. It looks as if they keep missing their turn, doesn't it? But it's the line of the fence gives you actually plenty of room after you're coming out the bunker to make that turn back to the skinny, which is not particularly big, but it is only about 1.20 m wide, as in the face of the fence.
Well, that bunker combination caused no problem at all for Charlotte Fontaz and Boyd Kappa. They move along. We are next for them, the apple cart at 17.
Very good, slower approach. He still stood off, interesting. I thought he'd put in another stride and have a look at the drop down, but it didn't disturb an otherwise well-balanced turn. It's a very steep little bank down that whole side of the hill. Looks possibly is
Over those
steeper
route
than it
balls,
looks on telly.
18 A, B and C then for Charlotte Bodas as Boyd Kappa as they now turn towards the second water combination on this course, the shields in the water.
Robin Achinger. Oh, now that's an unusual sight. And well sat, very well done that he didn't actually leave the saddle in any direction, because you don't really expect your horse to stop at fence 3.
Charlotte Bodas through that shields in the
Austria.
water at fence 19.
He just slipped a little bit on the takeoff there, didn't he? And just
There
slipped
is a bit of a
it.
drop the other side, and whether the horse just didn't like the look of that, it does. The hill just descends, as you can see, because he disappears out of our sight. And whether that made the horse just look again and then slipped over the edge of the, it's not really a ditch, it's just a bank.
So
anyhow, they disentangle themselves from a tricky looking situation, and off they go to the 4th fence. So it'll be interesting to see how they go at the 5th, although the ditches are not really there like they were for the juniors at the 5th fence. I think the young riders' line is a lot easier. They go up onto this sort of causeway, and they don't have to come onto different coloured gravel ground, which the juniors did. And they got an oxer over a ditch there, and another upright over a ditch there. And he was actually going a little bit on the speedy side to that, but I don't blame him after having a stop at fence 3. Goodness me, you wouldn't have expected that of your horse.
So the Spanish rider Antonio put that behind him, and he's just heading over to the Hartpury Equine Academy Acorn. Now Hartpury obviously is a phenomenal setup, university and college, and there's many riders that have come through from being at Hartpury in the equine side of things and training into the equine business management. And there's lots. The Hartpury Equine Academy supports riders competing at a good level of affiliated and FEI. With their support of dressage, show jumping and cross country while studying for an academic qualification. So it's a fantastic setup, and it's an amazing base here to be at Hartpury with your horse competing at top level.
And apparently it's been growing since 1948, and it is really extraordinary for a 2,000 acre farm to help teach agriculture.
One rider in particular, I believe, was Danny Cumo. She actually came through Hartpury, went on to compete at juniors and young riders with myself.
Oh, that's so good. Great advertisement for
Charlotte
the college.
Bodas and as Boyd Kappa, and they were 14th place with their dressage score overnight.
So, Ginny, I've got confused. The one that we saw stop at fence 3 was in fact the Spaniard.
It was,
and
it was number 339.
Mistook him for the Austrian, who I had already seen later in the course. I don't know how I worked that one through. Sorry about that. We're now on to Kaid.
So number 302 from Czech Republic.
Indiana Revolution. They've moved swiftly through the Hartpury Equine Arch
and
fence 9
they
as
are
they head down towards
safely
the
over
castle
number
walls.
3. Back with the Spanish rider, making his way round to the water. Put the little mishap behind him, and
Oh my God, that's what I was so frightened would happen here, because he got stuck in the 3rd fence. I think I'd get off if I was you. Yeah, good man, well done. Yeah, I'm sure that will be all right, and they can just cut the ropes and dismantle the fence. And the horse isn't struggling, which is always a good thing. If they struggle, that's when they can hurt themselves.
It's very interesting whether he just misjudged where the ditch.
Well, don't remember what he did at fence 3. He did the same. So he goes in another stride and just tips over the edge. So you wonder if his eyesight is actually giving him the full 350-degree range that horse's eyesight tends to. You wonder if he's just not seeing quite as much as he should at his feet. Because he just did that, didn't he? Without any sort of, he just plonked himself over the bank, and horses don't do that. They're very, very astute at not stepping in ditches. They might get very close to them, but they very, very rarely ever step in them, and he just steps straight down that bank. Hoping all will be well, and they just have to dismantle the fence, and it's policy not to have the cameras on things when they're not going perfectly, or when things are a little bit off the script. So we'll be back again soon.
So just looking at some other times that have come in. So Charlotte Bordas, she jumped a lovely clear, just picked up 15.2 time penalties, so no one yet to have gone inside the time.
Well done, Nicole Brown, forecasting on ECRI ratings that it was a tough time to get. Do you think anybody will get it, Ginny?
I think they will later on. Yeah,
I think as they get more confidence as how to ride the course. I think it's disadvantage to go early in a course, although a lot of people prefer it because they get too nervous waiting. But you can learn so much from the earlier competitors. And I'm sure Tom McEwen, our gold medalist in Tokyo, wouldn't have fallen with his wonderful French horse early on in badminton if he'd been going later in the draw. And it is the draw, you just get drawn and you go where you're drawn. And I think it is a disadvantage going early, but plenty of people prefer just to get it out of the way and not have to wait with the nerves.
Few spectators enjoying a lovely time out. Look at the crowd. So that's up on top of the hill. They can just really look down onto the amazing cross-country course and this amazing venue where we are.
The Dutch contingent, the Orange Boys.
Supporting the ice cream van.
Supporting the ice cream van, exactly.
He will be assisted.
And this is our horse by the great show jumping sire Arco. Gosh, he's a fine figure of a man, this horse, isn't he? Having his wash down and his cool off. He doesn't look like he needs any of it. He looks full of enthusiasm and energy. His head is right up, he's bright.
And just there you saw the team vets, Ali Butler and Spike Milligan, taking care of all of the horses, making sure that they're all absolutely fine after their excursions.
They take their heart rate, and then you come back X minutes later and they take it again if they think it's a little high, and not until it's come down to a satisfactory amount do they let the horses, so to speak, leave the race course. And there's a huge amount of aftercare to make sure that the horses go back to their stables in fine fettle, because like any athlete, they're going to be blowing, their heart rate's going to be up. They've made a wonderful effort, and the combination of horse and rider have either had the most wonderful time of their lives, or they've made a mistake and they're beating themselves up as they come through the finish. And that is a lovely house, Hartpury House. I'd love to put a date on it. I've tried to find out, but I haven't managed. Somewhat Georgian it looks. And that looks out over the whole cross-country course, part of the college. Just about every other building is modern, but this is a blast from the past, Hartpury
Here we
House.
are at the centre of
And back to
education
the lovely
excellence
grey.
here at the Hartpury Academy
From Britain.
and that's exactly
Just
what,
looking at some of the
Eric Winter set out
times that have
to
come in,
achieve
and
both
just
the
there,
junior and young
Ibel Watson
riders,
and her mum, Erica.
educating with the lines between
Huge
the
team
fences,
effort for these
playing
guys.
with a variety of distances, giving
Yes,
the riders
Ibi,
the
another
opportunity to
product
make
of
up their mind, but
a
not making it
senior
too
rider
difficult.
from yesteryear.
Giving them the opportunity to go to fast routes, but for those that are less experienced, or for those horses
He's
perhaps
got
not
the
going
lucky
quite
white
so
sock,
well,
that horse. The near
giving
hind is
them the space
superstitious.
between
My
fences,
first horse,
and
Be
the
Fair,
local
had a lucky white hind.
to
The
take
near hind, so anything that's got
but
one of those is going to be a good
searching
horse.
for that, lovely balance,
Just looking at Ibel's cross-country time, so she did a time of 8 minutes and 4. But we have got someone inside the time, Lucinda. Yeah, and that would be Alice Cashburn. And on topspin, I mean, she has got some great 5-star results, and she made light work of this. It looked fantastic.
Well done, Caroline. As you say, light work of something pretty great deal smaller than what she had at Badminton a few weeks ago, and easier therefore not to pay the attention you need and give the fences a respect that they all need, because they're so much smaller than what she'd recently been round at Badminton. So well done her for cracking a good time and keeping her horse in a good balance and his eye on the ball and getting round a 3-star course after having done a 5-star at Badminton.
And how easily do you think the horses adjust, Lucinda, from competing at 5-star level to then dropping down to 3-star? You know, talking from previous experience, I used to have a horse that was competing at 4-star. If I would drop him down a level, he used to be fairly headstrong and not always respect those fences.
I'd say damn terrifying on horses like that. There used to be horses that we would start in advanced classes at the beginning of the season, because if you put them at intermediate, they didn't respect the fences at all. Nowadays, because horses are so much more careful and are bred so much more through the warm blood lines from Europe, quite a lot of horses need to start in an intermediate course and need to drop down to intermediate between their efforts at 4 and 5-star. But you and I are the same, Ginny. We've both had those horses that are game and brave, and they see a 4-star fence, let me eat it. They see a 5-star fence, let me eat it, and then they put them down to 3-star and they feel like they're going to knock it over.
Yeah, and it's not a nice feeling.
Not a good feeling at all.
Not a good. Yep.
Great, thanks.
Okay, so we are going to take a short break now. So go and grab your cup of tea and join us back for the action very soon.
Hartpury really wants to support the research that will have an impact into the real industry. That's for me where the magic is. Through the journey as a rider, as a groom, as a physiotherapist, I've noticed that there are still too many opportunities to improve the whole industry. That's why I started this PhD, because with the research you can have a bigger impact on a bigger scale. And having the water treadmill here, having the land treadmill and all the rehabilitation bits, plus the kit to do the research with, it was the full picture actually. It's an international university, and that's something that I really feel very engaged with. They look at you as an individual and they talk to you about what you want to do, what are your aspirations. If you would like to go into the research or come up with your own business or come up with something other innovative stuff, then they will support you. And they want students to become successful.
Having a master's degree does give you that edge, the skills that you learn and the connections that you make. You know, people that are up in the top of their field. As a postgraduate student, you are definitely seen at that level, you know, a similar level as your lecturer, your tutor. You're there as more of a professional. It enables you to sort of explore yourself a lot more and work out what works best for you, how you learn best and how you work with other people. I definitely want to experience different aspects of the equine industry, and I feel that I'm fully prepared to be able to do that. And that's due to the things that I've learned and the sort of the variety of skills that I've gained, that I'm able to sort of go off and do what I want to do. Being at Hartpury, coming through a degree and a postgraduate degree and then a job, I've gained so much experience and been able to work with so many knowledgeable people as well in the industry. Being here and in this environment, I've been able to sort of become the person that I wanted to become.
The most important thing is we give girls an opportunity to play rugby. If they've got aspirations to play for their country, if they just want to come and they want to enjoy people's company and meet like-minded individuals, there's something here for everyone. The whole point is that we want the player at the centre of it, and to be a part of that journey, to have that link throughout and that family feel throughout is really special.
The past players that have been here, you have the likes of Meg Jones, Abby Brown, the captains of Sevens currently, Nolly Waterman, Natasha Hunn, Alex Matthews, who are all Red Roses, great established players who have all been through this pathway and have done it before, so it's proof that it does work coming here.
I've definitely improved a lot. I've seen a lot of development. If I look back now, I wouldn't recognise myself. There's a lot of people behind the scenes who do a lot of work for you.
The best thing about it is just the link that we have across the board. So there's our link with Gloucester Hartpury. Obviously we sit with the Premiership side. We're playing in the top tier of the Bucks National League, which you can't get higher than. And just like the amount of players that we've got coming through the system from an under 18 age all the way through to university, and then further and feeding into our Gloucester Hartpury side.
It's all here at Hartpury, and obviously then that is a springboard to be in the Red Roses, the Wales team or any international club. I credit Hartpury absolutely massively for where I am today, because I had the chance of being a professional athlete basically from being so young, so I think from then it was kind of instilled into me to be that hard-working, determined young girl, and it's all stemmed from coming to Hartpury. I'm living these opportunities that Hartpury has created for me, and I could not speak highly enough of the programme and what it can do for you, like the doors that it can open being here.
It's just a brilliant place to be. Like, it's a good part of the world. The people that we have in this institution are fantastic, and it genuinely is like some of the best times of your life.
Hartpury is world renowned in this industry, so if someone wanted to do an equine qualification, this is where they'd come. So I'm Annie Ho, and I am an event rider.
Oh, fantastic sights to see there. Indiana Revolution, absolutely fine, just being walked off and looking very happy, called off by all of the experts, and the vets there just checking him over, but he looks quite happy and wondering why his party has ended. So recently just been restarted, making the turn back to the water fence here.
Beautiful. You never know when you're stopped, quite why you are being stopped. You never know where the problem is. So with a bit of luck, this rider who was waiting in the wings further back on the course didn't know what had happened, because it's a pretty unnerving feeling if you know what's happened and if you've seen a picture of it going wrong, to then have to be the first one to ride it. That was beautifully done.
And that's quite a strong fence to come back to for the Czech rider. Like after being held, they'll have been sent back and their time will have been stopped.
I think they would have been further back than that, so they probably would have had some other fences first, because they wouldn't have just been on the tail of the other one unless it took them that long to stop. So you may well be right, Ginny. Gosh, what a nightmare to have that as the first fence back in.
Possibly the jump one castle wall, they may have been started just prior to that. But they
there is a rule that allows you to go back and jump the fence before, again, if you are stopped in front of a really difficult one. And some people do take that option. So what have we got? More cyclists from Holland on the left there. These electric bikes are the absolute dream of the event world, because there's so much walking and you do get jolly tired if you're trying to look after a horse or train a horse or ride a horse. To be able to get from A to B without having to walk or run is wonderful. The evolution of electric bikes is absolutely one of the great things that's happened in modern eventing. So we've got here Quad, I'm not quite sure how you pronounce that, Kaid Magic Sugdolak from Czechoslovakia. He looks a little bit, how would I say it, weary in the brain may not be. He may just be that little bit more of a warm blood brain. He hasn't looked to me like he has a really sharp, hot-blooded thoroughbred brain. But within that, he may do very, very well.
And we have a new starter from Finland, Hedvig Wikström, and Pin Rocks fade to black. And I can see why. Lovely, lovely dark black mare. So this is this horse who looks to me to not have the sharpest of thoroughbred brains, but he's right on that. And he's done a beautiful job through there. He's just telling me to shut up, because he actually showed a lot of thinking and power, physical power, and a lot of quick thinking through there. So well done him. Some horses just go in a slightly slower way, and you wonder if it's just their physique or if their brain works a little bit slower. And this one looks particularly nippy.
He looks the opposite, doesn't he? And in so doing, who knows, when they're really quick, they can make mistakes because they're too quick. Like a little stumble up that bank, and a little reminder that he's not to stop at this ditch that's coming up under this oxer. It didn't look like he had any worries about that, nor that, because there's a ditch under both those elements. Oxer first and upright second. And then down off that causeway, on round the corner to the little owl hole, which we don't see, and back to the start.
Hannah Francis, who died some years ago of cancer, and now set up a charity.
So to the left of our screen is where all the warm-up goes on, in about 2-3 acres of paddock, different cross-country fences to warm up over, and here we have
Magic. Yeah, jumping lovely through there. The Czech rider that actually previously was held, but they've got right back into the swing of everything. Sometimes it's quite hard when you have been held on course to get back into the momentum, but they did a really good job.
Sometimes it wins you badminton because you've just had that little bit of energy relining that you needed, and other times it takes your concentration off, gets your adrenaline gone, and you start making mistakes after the hold. So it can work both directions. I personally hate them. I can't get my mind back on the job, and I'm worried I can't get my horse's mind back on. Do you mind being stopped, Ginny?
I'm not a fan. No, not a fan. It's
Not
just
a fan.
hard to say in the zone. I mean, when you come out of that start box, you're
Yeah,
in the
you're
zone.
in the zone, exactly. And that switches you out.
And you know what you've got to do, but then when you get held, like, it just puts you out of sync a little bit.
But it's great. I remember William Foxpit was held at Bramham, and all the spectators came out with water bottles and they poured it all over his horses and his horse, and so he got a wonderful reviving. So it can work. And here's our lovely Kaid, who's finished very well this course with his wonderful rhythm, which is just that bit different to this little Sharpie here.
Hedvig.
Steep old hill, that.
It is.
Quite glad it's a fairly soft fence at the bottom.
Yeah, we spoke earlier about having the balance and keeping the control down there, but also not wasting valuable seconds.
Wonderful to have a representative from Finland. We've had them from Norway, Czechoslovakia. Marvellous that these countries that aren't in the swing of eventing still manage to find a way to train and produce their horses at international level.
Okay, we have a new starter, this time for Ireland. Sive Bolger riding Cooley Cappuccino, an Irish gelding by Garib, prolific event horse stallion, beautifully over those two fences, really stretching out. They have a 38.3 dressage and were lying 37th overnight, and they're now heading down to the Hartpury Equine Academy Acorn, which I spoke a little bit about earlier.
Working their way down now
Such
towards
an
us,
amazing setup for equine
fence 6.
professionals to get into the sport and be trained at Hartpury.
So it's well, Dean Barton, 3-star long format winner in Chagom, and also won multiple Finnish championships. So this is our individual right ahead. Vic Billstrom again, another one sprinkling this great young rider European Championship with more international stardust. They come down without a mishap over the Andrews Bone step fences at 14. Push on quite strongly, going well between their fences to the ice house at Hartpury Sports fence 15.
Lovely jump over the cart at 7 for Sive Bolger and Cooley Cappuccino. Up the hill now as they head towards the Hartpury house.
Get themselves ready for the Hartpury Digital Innovation Farm Garden. Two-part fence this.
Well, I'm just going to have a quick change of voice for a few seconds. Lucinda and Ginny going off for a quick break as we catch up with Hedvig Bigstrom and Pink Rock's Fade to Black coming through the bunker combination. And I'm joined in commentary now by, well, it was a nervous mother, but apparently more nervous yesterday than cross-country today. It is, of course, Tina Cook. Tina, hi.
Hi, yeah, well, it's a whole new experience, but very exciting to be here and just to see these young riders having the experience that I had, obviously many years ago, but, you know, to ride around this course and to be representing their countries and for my daughter to be able to do it, there's nothing more special.
Well, it was interesting because as she came through the finish line, I didn't want to say anything, but 12 months ago, Mexican Law was here, didn't have the ride you wanted, and I wanted to keep that right to the end.
Yes, I'm glad you actually never mentioned anything, Spencer, actually, because the subject hasn't come up all week. Now you've made it public to the world. Thanks. Yes, that was completely rider error, and so I didn't really need to discuss that with Isabel, but yes, she's gone well, and you know, she's a fabulous jumper, so once you put your jockey on board, you've done all the hard work, and then it's down to her, and she's a lovely mare to ride and a fabulous jumper, so it was just great to see them go.
And what's it like, not only having your daughter out there, but a homebred as well in Mexican Law? I mean, that must be even more special.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So you breathe them, and I rode the mare, and I loved riding the mare. She's a great jumper, and Jim Chromiak, who's been my long-term American owner, that has owned her as well all this time and has supported me over probably 30 years. And you know, it was just really the suggestion
Fine,
to
and
him
why am I talking about
last
safety
year
Dardu
that
when it's yours?
he
But
would
it's
make a
doing
fabulous
really
junior
well
horse
anyway.
because she's such a
Let's
good
go back
jumper,
to
and
starting.
to give
Side
Isabel
Bulger
this
moving well
fabulous
over the combination of
opportunity,
steps
which
at 14,
she's
8,
taken, and she's so passionate about it, and has looked forward to this day all her life. So, you know, look, the dream is coming true so far. We've got another phase to go yet.
Well, I'm sure there's been a few sleepless nights. But on the whole, the course has been riding super well. Eric Winter, Dominic Moore, they've designed, built a fantastic championship track out there.
Yeah, they have, and the ground is as perfect as you can imagine with, you know, how dry it's been. This horse is looking a little bit tired towards the end of the course, but they've been really good galloping courses, and the fences are beautifully decorated there in front of them. No trick questions, but the riders have got to use the terrain and actually use their heads. They can't just keep galloping. So many courses now are sort of portables there in front of them, but actually here, by the twists and turns, they've got to ride. And, you know, if they put in a good performance inside the time today, you know, they've done their job.
Yeah, Side Bulger there, just with Coolie Cappuccino going through the bunkers. A little bit of a trip up fence, the speed bump there in the apple cart, and then climbing back up the hill to come to that next combination running down the hill. It's caught a few out today. That's the last fence that we can see, fence 24 of the 36 jumping efforts out there. But this is the fence I was just talking about that Side Bulger's coming to now.
Yeah, it's a really steep slope. They've got to sit up because, whoa, she's galloped right into the bottom of that. You know, it's a big striding horse, and with the slope, it really carries them down the hill. So really having to use their body weight and getting their shoulders back to give the horses a chance to react quickly and to jump the fences cleanly. And I have seen one or two having trouble there. But today, that horse is just pulling up, just having a bit of a trip, but great to see them finish.
Dropping down the hill to the castle fence at 10 before the water.
That's such a steep slope. I'm sure your commentators before have said so, but riding down that hill, incredibly steep, and then that fence is sitting there looking at you. And then the horses get the run on again now to the water, and they just need to set them up on the turn to balance them, to put their foot down to jump into the water. It's a big drop, and the horses need to have that bit of confidence to jump in. And he's been generous in the amount of time they've got in the water to sort themselves out, to get the reins shortened and get the accuracy for jumping out. So, you know, these young riders are having to think quickly.
Well, it's a real rider thinking track. We spoke to Eric Winter yesterday as Annie Huvainen and Bonmay and Bluegrass set off on their cross-country campaign at 5A and B, the Hartpury planks, with that dressage score that they bring forwards onto the cross-country.
And it feels quite weird galloping along that bank when we've ridden here before in internationals in the years gone by. For early on, you're like, oh my God, and the horses can be a little bit spooky when they're up there, but Eric's built the course with great and true distances so that the riders can just get the horses into the course but trust the distance that they've been built on.
It was really interesting watching the juniors because I don't know whether of course you would have done, but watching a lot of those horses coming from the grass onto the bank up, and the difference in the terrain and also the ground cover, they were really backing off that first bank.
Oh, that's quite interesting because I didn't watch that many. I was busy fluffing around being a mother. But when we walked it was quite an optical illusion when you were coming towards that fence. And I said to some of the riders, don't just set off and panic at it and override it, but when you hit the gravel, then put your leg on and give the horses the support and confidence. You know, it was just a sloping oxer, but actually when you're coming to it, you're like, crikey, what's that? And quite often our first thought when you see a fence is obviously what the horses are going to see for the first time, so sometimes can be quite relevant to how you ride the fence.
I think that's exactly what we did say. Those that came and saw it and actually set sail a long way away had a much spookier jump at it than those that sat quietly and then pressed when they hit the gravel.
Oh, that was lucky. I was right then. Thanks, Spencer.
Well, Zazie coming down to that bank complex, the Burkett's root balls, and they're fairly forgiving. There's a lot of brush there that they can just brush through the top.
Exactly, and you ride the first fence as a drop, as it is, and then you ride them as two separate fences, sit back and balance, and then if the horses jumps the middle element under control, the last element looks after itself, to be honest. And this water, when you're galloping through water, some horses don't like water splashing up in front of their faces. So you've got to just keep the balance, keep the confidence through there. He just popped in. She just swung a little bit wide, put in an extra stride, and you can see there that the horse landed a bit unbalanced. So it was a few seconds wasted, but they landed in a safe way. So now she's got to really get a move on.
Well, Annie Hirvainen and Bonmain Bluegrass coming down to the water for the first time. 2 waters here on the cross-country track for the young riders. 4,590 metres. That optimum time, 8:21. I think we've had one inside the time so far, and that was Great Britain's Alice Casburn.
Yes, she had a great ride. Oh, that sweet little horse there looking into the water. You know, there's a gap in front of the rail. So you want these horses to be bold but careful at the same time, and they're very clever, popping in a little extra stride.
And this is going back up the course now to the Swedish combination, Anna Svein and Electronic, Swedish Warmbloods. And this by Cartier, owned by Katarina Sida and Anna Svein herself.
There, she just got a little bit close into the first element and had to move to get the distance. But because it was built on a true distance, there were no tricks there. You know, she's got to just get into the rhythm, take a deep breath, and it's getting through those first few fences incident-free. Means that you can really get on and ride the rest of the course. As you can see, when she went around the corner, you know, you've got to balance these horses around the corner. She had a little bit of a slip, but where we have got really good matting, sort of carpeted grass, where Erica's carried on watering the course, which is fantastic because we've had some warm days. You've got to go around some corners and you just got to support them.
Waiting down there at the start, representing Spain. And this is a team rider for Spain, Marcel Piero-Pato and Kira HDB. And we found out with the names of these Spanish horses, they have numbers after their names, the 20 and the 88, and apparently that's something to do with the amount of thoroughbred that's in them. That I found out at an event in Le Moulin just recently. I wondered whether it was an AA, number, whether it was a battery type, but apparently it was Anglo-Arab, and then how much thoroughbred was in it.
That's very interesting. I'm glad you've clarified that. Always good to know.
So setting off over the first, the Spanish rider, Marcel Piero-Pato, Kira HDB. And they bring forwards a dressage score 33.3 in 15th place in this young rider division. Amazing to have the championships here at Hartpury, Tina.
Just to have also, I think, is lovely to have the juniors and young riders together. There's been a real bonding between the 2 age groups, especially there hasn't been a championship for the last couple of years. And the riders, there are a few riders at both levels that have had a bit more experience riding more than one horse, and then some sort of inexperienced ones coming to their first championship that might be a little bit shy and a little bit overwhelmed. And actually the bonding between the 2 age groups, certainly in the British camp, has been really noticeable, and I just think fantastic for the riders to really grow and go on in the sport and feel the support and what the pressure feels like when you're riding for your country, to know if it's something that you enjoy, and whether it'll give you a real buzz. It certainly did when I was 16 and went to the Europeans down in Italy, and I thought, I love this. You know, this is really what I would want to do for the rest of my life, and representing my country was so exciting and a real privilege. Some might not like that pressure, and I think we'll be hopefully seeing a lot of stars of the future going around the course now.
Well, I think we saw one earlier in Izzy, first European Championships, and she's ridden with such a cool head. Out there on the cross country, we saw the dressage, but out there on the cross country, those two look like they've been together forever.
Oh, God. Well, we don't do a lot of praise in our family, so I'm feeling a little uncomfortable, Spence. But no, oopsie, nearly got the stride wrong, but luckily the horse was thinking for her and looked after her. Look, I am an incredibly proud mum, and Mexican law is a fabulous jumper. I rode her grandmother and her mother, and they were all good jumpers. And yeah, look, she had a great week so far, and you know, she's living the dream.
Yeah, it is about living the dream. And we've got, I mean, it's so close at the top in the team standings as well. Only one mark, 87.8 for the Germans, 88.8 for the British team. I mean, it's all to play for, and we know how quickly things can change in a championship. What's the feeling in the British camp going forward tomorrow? It's just it's another day and go in and jump your round.
I think you have to. At the moment, a lot of the juniors are all out there watching and supporting the young riders going around now, and vice versa. Then this evening we'll be obviously hoping that all the horses are fine. All the junior horses that I've seen so far have come back looking great. Obviously to get through the trot up tomorrow. And generally, a lot of these horses nowadays, the sport is so tough, they have to be good jumpers, and we know here at Hartpury a decent show jumping will be built. And yeah, there'll be a whole new level of pressure again tomorrow. Oh, can't wait, add a few more wrinkles to the face.
Well, we can't wait. We'll be bringing you all that live action, 10:30 for the juniors, 2:15 for the young riders, all live on FEI TV and Clip My Horse. So make sure you're tuning in tomorrow for that final phase. Just leaving the start box a few seconds ago, Matilda Piovani and Born West for Italy, team rider for Italy. As we go back up course to the water, Kira HDB and Marcel Piero Pato coming through the water representing Spain.
Thought this is a lovely athletic little horse, like really can gallop, won't have a problem with the time. I would have thought he would be quite close to the time. He's very economical over his fences. The Swedish horse here is a bit bigger and needing to be set up a little bit more. But as you can see, as she's galloped away, really being able to cover the ground.
Well, here is Matilda Piovani, Born West, team bronze medal at the Young Rider European Championships last year, individually 10th, 2 gold and 2 bronze medals at the Junior Championships as well before that at the Italian Championships. And she is safely through 5A and 5B. Gives a good indication how the horses are travelling at 5. We've seen a few a little bit sticky through there that have come unstuck further around the course. But what Eric was telling us, that every fence has a relationship to the other, and it's a story that's being told the whole way through. You get your first few run and jump fences, a question, a let-up fence, a question. There's a big part of the course, around 11 and 12, where the water is, long routes. They can do what they want to get themselves home safely, but it really is a story out there.
And I can see that. You know, the combinations are there to be thought of, and he's been very clever with his long routes and have given the nations to think about. You know, are they going for the time? Are they going for a clear round? And when you choose a team order, you choose them specifically. It's not just pot luck, who should we send first, second, third or fourth. And, you know, they're there for a reason, and you use your cross-country horses generally to go out first and to go for it. But, you know, in the British camp for the juniors, they wanted to think about what chances they wanted to take against Timefalls to get the best team score ever.
We just saw Anna Svein there completing with their Anna Svein electronic.
Well, I didn't know what on earth he was doing there. He put such a big loop between the first two, but then didn't straighten up. Not quite sure what he's doing now. Okay. That was inexperience, really, from his point of view. It was completely lack of control and forward planning from him, but let's hope the rest of the course he can get himself sorted.
Zara Nelson is away for Ireland, in the team for Ireland, Old King Aragon, Irish sport horse, 11 years old, by Sam Ng, owned by Michelle Nelson and Kieran Connors. And going back up course to the Italian Matilda Piovani and Born West at the water, 11AB and 12AB.
She made quite a conscious effort to do a big turn. She's deciding to go a long route.
Well, because it's separately numbered, it's 11AB, and then they can come back in the water and jump 12A and then 12B. So separately numbered the first log. So that's perfectly permissible to do that. She landed in a bit of a heap, good bit of thinking, quick thinking, to then come and jump that penalty free.
Okay, I hadn't walked the course, so I didn't actually know what she was doing there. But yeah, she was definitely playing on the more cautious side. There would have been enough space, I think, to have made the turn. But she's maybe set out, and that's what she's planning on doing for the competition, is the clear round is the main objective.
And as a team rider as well, you know, she maybe thought, well, in that split second, she made that decision. And once you've made it, and you've got to then carry on.
Absolutely. It's just quite a large turn. So the time faults weren't obviously in the top of her mind. But, you know, she's got through it. And that's why the courses are numbered as they are, so that it gives everyone the option. And to know every option and to be able to be very quick thinking. You know, that's your gut feeling to what you're aiming for.
Yeah, down at the start then, waiting to go. And this is back to the Spanish rider in Marcel Pero Pato. We may get a chance to have a look at him through that combination coming down the hill. I'm not sure whether we will or whether we won't, when he made that mistake at the route rolls, when he had that run out. It was a unique line.
I think that he just didn't react quick enough himself to sort straighten the horse and to point out where the horse needed to go. So it would think it would be his responsibility there. That tension time now down at the start.
Yeah, it is a tense time. And next to go, Linus Richter with Reja, 10-year-old mare. We've seen some really young horses as well, as young as 7 going round the championship track. As he leaves the start box and sets off to the NAF 5-star log. We actually are going to go back and have a look at that fence where we saw the Spanish rider, Marcel Pero Pato, come down the hill, just see what happens, jumps the first, and then, as you say, loses balance, doesn't really do enough.
No, quickly enough. Unfortunately, as he landed, he was pitched forward, and then almost like he forgot there was an extra element because he didn't get himself back. So the horse had no idea it was jumping that third element.
So the grey coming down through that same combination that we just saw. And gravity takes over. I mean, it happens very quickly there as well. And when you've got half a ton of horse on you on the end of these little bits of leather, it's quite a lot to balance and ride to.
Absolutely. And then, you know, it's down a lot of the training. Nowadays, these horses are used to jumping narrow fences there in front of you. But there are a lot of courses where courses are built on flat terrain. So actually, as riders, these are all young riders. Some of them may not have had that much experience of running up and down hills with fences on the side of them. And you soon learn jolly damn quickly to sit up and balance yourself so you can balance your horse. And that is all that is being learnt here. OK, you might be learning it at a championship, but from now onwards, it will bring your knowledge forward on cross-country riding, even if you might not get the result that you've been hoping for.
Yeah, well, as we wait for our next combination out on course, we're coming right to the end of the young riders, probably about 15 or so left to go. We catch up with the Italian, Matilda Piovani, and Bourne West. Nice to see through the 2 stone walls. The last combination fence out there, sponsored by Gemini Stud. And they go to the Rural Planning Practice Woodside at 22. Just 3 fences left to go.
It's great, actually, that the cross-country time has been influential. So they've had to be thinking of keeping up on the clock in between the fences. We haven't seen that much of Zara going around. She started off really well. It looks a neat little rider, nice horse. And she's thought about her line there. Good, lovely. Right, she needs to go. If she's going to be getting near this time, because she's presented the fences very, very well. But you have to use the galloping in between just to keep up the pace, especially as the time is tight, which makes the competition so exciting if you've got those penalties here and there. I mean, I don't particularly like personally going that fast, but, you know, sometimes you have to a few times a year.
Well, as Zara comes down to that combination fence, the Burkett's root balls. Nice see through there. I should think the Irish hunting would have helped her down through there.
Yeah, no, definitely. And actually, Isabel has done a lot of hunting, and it really has helped, as well as her social skills. I think that was half the point of going out hunting, and as well as sitting tight. And, you know, she's a lucky girl. She's been able to do that, and I do think that does help her position cross-country.
Puck Bunches is away with Image of Roses, with a dressage 35.6. And it was, we were talking about it earlier, it's so lovely to see the likes of, and the young man that's in the lead, in Kai Ruder's son, and we've got Alice Neighbour-Lozman and Gert Neighbour's daughter here as well, your daughter, and Ibel Watson in Erica's. It's just the who's who of the event riders
it's been a
of the stars.
Jolly sociable
I bet you've had
week.
great fun, haven't you?
Yeah, absolutely. Because we've all been looking at each other and going, okay, this is just really weird.
Yeah.
But also so much fun.
Yeah.
And being able to pass on the knowledge and the things that we've got right and the things we've got wrong.
Yeah.
You know, let's not get away. We haven't been perfect all our life, unfortunately. But, you know, you try for perfection and keep learning all the time. And within the sport, the fact that we have loved it as riders and got so much from it, and obviously I can speak for myself, I just love to just pass all that on to the young people coming through, and if they're going to be successful, they'll take it on board. And okay, I'm quite sure Isabel switches off with me some of the time, but I like to think that some bits of information goes in.
But
So
the
it's
whole
not-
family have been here as well, haven't they?
Yeah, my mother's been here,
Alfie's
and my
been
son,
here.
and my son Harry, who's
So I saw Harry was here as well.
not a lover of particularly of the horse sports.
But
Further,
lots of young girls here.
I think that has been a lot more appealing to come to watch them, and 5 minutes of his sister.
Yeah.
But you know, he's a rugby player, and it's been lovely to get the family together and to be watching and supporting her.
And I saw Charlotte Baith was here as well. And of course, Daisy came up through that system too.
Yes, Daisy hasn't been here this year, but Charlotte has been helping Grace Donner. So, in a similar way, you know, helping a younger rider to pass on all the information she can. And Grace did so extremely well earlier in the day. And for an inexperienced girl, she did very, very well. So, you know, in silver team position, it's very, very exciting.
Very exciting indeed. Well, Linus Richter just jumps the apple cart, heads uphill. We go back to Zara, who comes to that final fence, chasing down that optimum time, 8 minutes 21 seconds. How close will she be? And in fact, she picks up just 7.6 times. She goes into the show jumping on 41.4. Linus Richter representing Germany in the team. Down through those narrow brushes, takes a flag.
Surprised with Zara, actually, because actually it did look a very flowing round, but she looked like she finished very easily. I thought she might have been a little bit closer to the time.
Well, another British rider out on course, setting out with guns ablaze. This is Millie Juleff with All We Need, 11-year-olds. And they bring forward a dressage, 31.4, riding in the team All We Need. And the young rider team sitting in silver medal position after the dressage. Where will they be after the cross country? We won't have too long to find out. Fourth at Houghton and third in fourth in Houghton in the 3-star long recently.
And this is a lovely, lovely horse, and Millie has produced it herself. And you know, Millie is one of the shyer girls on the team, but she's had the opportunity to really socialise and work with the other team members, and you know, it's really bonded with everybody, and this is a super horse, and it'll be very exciting to see how they go here.
And she's worked hard because she broke her leg and her ankle in a fall back in March, so you know it shows true resilience to get back here fit for a European Championships.
Really tough, and you know, you come back from an injury and just to get over it and get your form back quick enough to be here to be selected, and this horse, as you can see, is naturally a quick horse. Really covers the ground when it's galloping, very effortless.
For them, and they'll be next on to this.
So you can see, to have a horse, and that hill rides a lot steeper than it looks. Some horses just find it quite hard work. Now that horse just went up there like a Ferrari. Easy for it. And then they just need to sit and just balance them again. Some horses might need to take what you call a second wind, really fill their lungs. That horse, it took nothing out of it. I would say that, you know, there would be quite a lot of blood in her breeding because that was very easy for it.
Well, back now to Puck Brunsters and Image of Roses down through this bunker combination. And we thought here, we did see one in the juniors fall then, a lot trip up that fairly innocuous rail, that triple rail, just landing on the lip. But actually having the fence before for the young riders sends them out over that rail a little bit cleaner.
Yes, I thought more might knuckle there. It's one of those fences that you don't want to come too fast that the horses don't get a chance to assess with the ground, and it's just uncomfortable. It's not a bad fence, it's just an uncomfortable fence, but you need to be prepared for the unexpected, and that's the most important thing to do. But as you said, I think the fence actually sets the young riders up a bit better. Okay, she just went across there just on 2.5 strides, and the horse just caught its knee on the edge of the fence, which unbalanced it, which meant that that's why it's just fallen down. Hopefully just winded as we carry on with Millie Juleff coming down the hill now, just really getting this horse together to make the turn towards the water. Getting her straight, now riding forward, sitting back, shoulders back, good girl. Big jump in, landed in balance, let the horse see what it's doing. And super, good girl. She really used her reins, used her body to support the horse to keep it straight. And again, moving away quickly up the hill. It's a good galloping stretch there, and this horse finds the galloping part of this cross country so very easy.
Well, just away from the start, the French combination, Josephine Hetto and Viv de Orlely. Coming on to the 5th combination. We just understand that we may have a short hold on course, just whilst Puck Brunsters and Image of Roses are looked at and cared for by our wonderful medical and veterinary team here at Hartpury for the FEI Eventing European Championships, Hartpury University and College, a wonderful venue to have those European Championships, purpose-built. I mean, we've got all the stables, we've got all the accommodation, and the arenas are second to none. And for these young riders, the up-and-coming stars, to be here all under one roof, with the dressage as well, I mean, it's a huge event.
It has been. It's almost felt like a World Equestrian Games that you can then go and watch the pure dress. You can watch the dressage riders working their horses, which is in a very different way. You're dealing with a very different animal in many ways. The power of the dressage horses and the unpredictability of their temperament. Some of the time, some of them can be quite naughty, but then go in the ring and be immaculately behaved. But it's given our event riders the opportunity to go and watch, and we had a fantastic display the other day with
Carl and Charlotte.
Carl and Charlotte, which was great. Millie Juleff is now.
She's just being held there.
Okay, so all the riders, we've explained to them what will happen. It's not something as a rider that you want to happen on a cross-country course, but that is the sport. It can happen, and it could be you that's had a tumble that needs to, the course needs to be held for. So it's part of the sport. And if you see somebody come out with a red flag like that, you know it's time to stop your clock. And you could see that Millie stopped her clock there, and she'll be told to keep the horse walking until the stewards or the fence judges will give her some warning how long the hold will be. But as you said, the veterinary service, the veterinary unit, the facilities that are here is second to none. So the horse that did have the fall will be looked after with the utmost care, and no stones unturned, and there will be no hurry or speed. You know, the horse will have as long as it needs to check that it's okay. It's very unfortunate, just found that distance a little bit short, and then the slope took it down to the fence, just on a half stride too close, really.
Well, we are on a short hold here at Hartpury for the young riders cross country for the FEI Eventing European Championships. Tina Cook sitting alongside me, but I know that I forced you in here under duress, so I think you probably like to go out and watch a little bit and give your daughter another hug.
I don't think so by now. To be fair, I think she'll be out there with her mates. I don't think her mother's going to be high on her list of fun things. I think it's going to be trotting the horses up later and then let them have a bit of fun and a bit of party time before the seriousness of tomorrow.
Well, the seriousness starts firstly with the final horse inspection, which is always a worrying time for everybody. And I think one of the things that we hated, I certainly hated, was that final horse inspection. You never know. I mean, so many horses through the years have gone through to that final horse inspection absolutely fine, then gone in front of the judges and gone, oh, I'm a bit lame.
Yes.
No, you're not.
Absolutely not. Don't even think about it. You know, you enjoy each moment as it happens, and we've had a good day so far. Obviously, we're still out there supporting our young riders, and Phoebe Hughes is in the start box, so she'll be waiting. So in many ways, it's easier for her because she hasn't started yet. So then she will have some idea on timing, and she'll be able to walk away and maybe get a drink of water. If she needs to have another practice fence, she can do. So she'll have more warning. Millie will have to just keep walking around. She's still got a long way to go. She's only halfway round, if that. I've lost track where she is, but she is about halfway around. But she will just have to use her feel just to keep on the move.
Well, we are on a short break, so we're going to have a short break here ourselves as well for a quick ad break, and we'll be back with the action very shortly.
35.1. So Elena.
Top.
Hartpury really wants to support the research that will have an impact into the real industry. That's for me where the magic is. Through the journey as a rider, as a groom, as a physiotherapist, I've noticed that there are still too many opportunities to improve the whole industry. That's why I started this PhD, because with the research you can have a bigger impact on a bigger scale. And having the water treadmill here, having the land treadmill and all the rehabilitation bits, plus the kits to do the research with, it was the full picture actually. It's an international university, and that's something that I really feel very engaged with. They look at you as an individual and they talk to you about what you want to do, what are your aspirations. If you would like to go into the research or come up with your own business or come up with something other innovative stuff, then they will support you. And they want students to become successful.
Having a master's degree does give you that edge, the skills that you learn and the connections that you make. You know, people that are up in the top of their field. As a postgraduate student, you are definitely seen at that level, you know, a similar level as your lecturer, your tutor. You're there as more of a professional. It enables you to sort of explore yourself a lot more and work out what works best for you, how you learn best and how you work with other people. I definitely want to experience different aspects of the equine industry, and I feel that I'm fully prepared to be able to do that. And that's due to the things that I've learned and the sort of the variety of skills that I've gained, that I'm able to sort of go off and do what I want to do. Being at Hartpury, coming through a degree and a postgraduate degree and then a job, I've gained so much experience and been able to work with so many knowledgeable people as well in the industry. Being here and in this environment, I've been able to sort of become the person that I wanted to become.
The most important thing is we give girls an opportunity to play rugby. If they've got aspirations to play for their country, if they just want to come and they want to enjoy people's company and meet like-minded individuals, there's something here for everyone. The whole point is that we want the player at the centre of it, and to be a part of that journey, to have that link throughout and that family feel throughout is really special.
The past players that have been here, you have the likes of Meg Jones, Abby Brown, the captains of Sevens currently, Nolly Waterman, Natasha Hunn, Alex Matthews, who are all Red Roses, great established players who have all been through this pathway and have done it before, so it's proof that it does work coming here.
I've definitely improved a lot. I've seen a lot of development. If I look back now, I wouldn't recognise myself. There's a lot of people behind the scenes who do a lot of work for you.
The best thing about it is just the link that we have across the board. So there's our link with Gloucester Hartpury. Obviously we sit with the Premiership side. We're playing in the top tier of the Bucks National League, which you can't get higher than. And just like the amount of players that we've got coming through the system from an under 18 age all the way through to university, and then further and feeding into our Gloucester Hartpury side.
It's all here at Hartpury, and obviously then that is a springboard to be in the Red Roses, the Wales team or any international club. I credit Hartpury absolutely massively for where I am today, because I had the chance of being a professional athlete basically from being so young. So I think from then it was kind of instilled into me to be that hard-working, determined young girl, and it's all stemmed from coming to Hartpury. I'm living these opportunities that Hartpury has created for me, and I could not speak highly enough of the programme and what it can do for you, like the doors that it can open being here.
It's just a brilliant place to be. Like, it's a good part of the world. The people that we have in this institution are fantastic, and it genuinely is like some of the best times of your life.
Hartpury is world renowned in this industry, so if someone wanted to do an equine qualification, this is where they'd come. So I'm Annie Ho.
will have an impact into the real industry. That's for me where the magic is. Through the journey as a rider, as a groom, as a physiotherapist, I've noticed that there are still too many opportunities to improve the whole industry. That's why I started this PhD, because with the research you can have a bigger impact on a bigger scale. And having the water treadmill here, having the land treadmill and all the rehabilitation bits, plus the kits to do the research with, it was the full picture actually. It's an international university, and that's something that I really feel very engaged with. They look at you as an individual and they talk to you about what you want to do, what are your aspirations. If you would like to go into the research or come up with your own business or come up with something other innovative stuff, then they will support you. And they want students to become successful.
Having a master's degree does give you that edge, the skills that you learn and the connections that you make. You know, people that are up in the top of their field. As a postgraduate student, you are definitely seen at that level, you know, a similar level as your lecturer, your tutor. You're there as more of a professional. It enables you to sort of explore yourself a lot more and work out what works best for you, how you learn best and how you work with other people. I definitely want to experience different aspects of the equine industry, and I feel that I'm fully prepared to be able to do that. And that's due to the things that I've learned and the sort of the variety of skills that I've gained, that I'm able to sort of go off and do what I want to do. Being at Hartpury, coming through a degree and a postgraduate degree and then a job, I've gained so much experience and been able to work with so many knowledgeable people as well in the industry. Being here and in this environment, I've been able to sort of become the person that I wanted to become.
The most important thing is we give girls an opportunity to play rugby. If they've got aspirations to play for their country, if they just want to come and they want to enjoy people's company and meet like-minded individuals, there's something here for everyone. The whole point is that we want the player at the centre of it, and to be a part of that journey, to have that link throughout and that family feel throughout is really special.
The past players that have been here, you have the likes of Meg Jones, Abby Brown, the captains of Sevens currently, Nolly Waterman, Natasha Hunn, Alex Matthews, who are all Red Roses, great established players who have all been through this pathway and have done it before, so it's proof that it does work coming here.
I've definitely improved a lot. I've seen a lot of development. If I look back now, I wouldn't recognise myself. There's a lot of people behind the scenes who do a lot of work for you.
The best thing about it is just the link that we have across the board. So there's our link with Gloucester Hartpury. Obviously we sit with the Premiership side. We're playing in the top tier of the Bucks National League, which you can't get higher than. And just like the amount of players that we've got coming through the system from an under 18 age all the way through to university, and then further and feeding into our Gloucester Hartpury side.
It's all here at Hartpury, and obviously then that is a springboard to be in the Red Roses, the Wales team or any international club. I credit Hartpury absolutely massively for where I am today, because I had the chance of being a professional athlete basically from being so young. So I think from then it was kind of instilled into me to be that hard-working, determined young girl, and it's all stemmed from coming to Hartpury. I'm living these opportunities that Hartpury has created for me, and I could not speak highly enough of the programme and what it can do for you, like the doors that it can open being here.
It's just a brilliant place to be. Like, it's a good part of the world. The people that we have in this institution are fantastic, and it genuinely is like some of the best times of your life.
To the cross-country action here at the FEI European Eventing Championships for the young riders. We had a quick hold on the course, brief hold, just whilst Puck Bunsters and Image of Roses were looked after, but they're great scenes that they're both up and absolutely fine after their fall at the bottom of the bank, coming down over the two little narrow fences, and it's good to see they're absolutely fine. That was at 18C, and good news to all that are concerned, and we hope and we send our best wishes to Puck Bunsters and Image of Roses, but good that they were walking away. We'll be back underway very shortly. We've got a horse held out on course or two, Millie Ulef and All We Need, and Josephine Hettu and Viv de Orlili. And waiting down at the start. She's gone back to have another warm-up and jump a few cross-country fences, and there is Millie Ulef. She's held out on course, and at the start, just gone back to jump a couple of fences. Our overnight leader for Great Britain, Phoebe Hughes, and Top Yats, this Self-Conseil horse, owned by George Brooks, bred by Philippe Bribois, and there Millie Ulef, All We Need. 31.4 the dressage, held them very handily placed after the first phase, and she will be back underway very shortly. They started in 8th place on that dressage of 31.4, been going very well cross country so far. We in the break have had a swap around of commentators, and we said goodbye and thanks very much to Christina Cook, listening to her for the last half an hour or so, joined back in the commentary by Lucinda Green. Lucinda, always a worrying time, but now back up to event speed and away, Millie Ulef.
It's been extraordinarily interesting watching these young riders, just a whole level different riding. I mean, they're grown up. The juniors, some of them looked incredibly mature, and I was well impressed. But these young riders are just a year or two stronger. They go up to 21, I think, is it? And so they just have started to become stronger in their bodies, and my goodness, it shows. Not because you need so much strength to make a horse go, it's more to balance him. That's where the strength comes, through your body to help balance the horse's body. It's half a ton of horse.
Well, coming down to that fence that has caused a few problems, but Millie Ulef and All We Need jump beautifully through there as they gallop away. Great to see the crowds hanging on as well to the end of the day. The good news is that Germany go into the show jumping in the juniors in gold medal position, and the British team in the juniors in the silver, and Ireland in the bronze. Millie Ulef then at the Hartpury Shields, the second and final water as they splash through back onto dry ground. Just a couple of fences left to jump and one combination fence.
Come around the corner of this tree right here in front of us and back on their way up towards the
we should
house,
see Phoebe Hughes down there any second.
So we just wait for
she will be our next go overnight leaders with that dressage score of just 25.7. Former William Fox pit ride, and also a ride. Just waiting for Phoebe. And that is our second that was held out on course. About to get back underway. There is Phoebe, there is Millie Ulef and All We Need, jumping through the stone walls. So Josephine Hettu is about to get back underway. Josephine with Viv de Lily. And she'll go back and get up to speed. Josephine Hettu for France, team rider for France. 13-year-old, Self-Conseil gelding. And she'll gallop up to the garden combination, that complex, the Hartpury Digital Innovation Farm Garden at 8A and 8B. Dressage 32, and with time penalties on the cards, it's not been the easiest of times. I think we've only seen one inside the time so far, and that was Great Britain's Alice Casburn and Top Spin, finishing in 8 minutes and 12 seconds, one of the fastest of the day, 8:21 the optimum. So very fast indeed. There is Phoebe Hughes, next to get underway with Top Yats, Hector Payne, the most recent rider that was in the saddle. Stable rider, stable jockey for William Foxpitt when he was there, now on his own, building a great career.
So make no mistake how much a hold impedes both physically and mentally yourself and your horse. The positives are that it gives your horse a rest. The negatives are that the adrenaline dies down and the concentration and focus dies down in both of you. And it's, as Tina said earlier, if you were listening, it's part of the course. You have to deal with holds as a rider, but I prefer not to have one. Although horses have won badminton on a result of being given a bit of a break when there's been a problem ahead and they have to move around for half an hour and get the energy back. That was lovely done. Well done, Josephine. Beautifully held into that last element.
So galloping away up towards the home farm gate at 13, Josephine Hettu will go onto that fence, and Phoebe Hughes in the final few countdown moments. She won the Under-18 National Championships last year, 6th at their first 3-star at Burnham Market up in Norfolk. They won Kelsall 3-star, previously ridden by William Foxpitt and Hector Payne, as I said, given to William by the Biat stud, and they're away. The Biat stud owned by Philippe Brivois, the breeder of this horse.
And probably one of the biggest breeding stud farms in the world. They had very successful 2 horses at Badminton this year, Andre Beerts and Valme Beerts for Emily King and Kitty King, not related, but both Kings rode Beerts horses. And here's another who's been through William and Hector, as you said, and is now at the young rider level, age 15, best dressage. He's a pretty impressive start. So back to Josephine for France, Vive d'Or Lily. In and out.
Clever bit of footwork.
A little bit of a peck on the edge of that bank, but nothing worrying. That turn is working much easier than I thought it was going to work. It's far enough away, that last element of the skinny. She doesn't look like she's covering the ground enormously, this horse. She's a deliberate horse, and hopefully will keep going deliberately all the way round, but may not be as fleet of foot as some. Phoebe Hughes, Top Biats, up onto the causeway. 2 ditchy fences with 3 strides between. And beautifully done.
Yeah, as good as any we've seen go through that combination. Yeah. I mean, 25.7, we've still got a couple of horses. One of those is about to leave the start box in Anne van Dijk for Belgium. Lying in second on 27.0, 27.1 in third, Calvin Bachmann. He's a former medalist as well at the lower level. But it is all to play for. 1 fence separating the top 5 in the juniors, and not even a fence separating the top 2 teams. 87.8 is the German team score, 88.8 is the British team score. So it's going to come down to the wire tomorrow, but all eyes and all concentration very much on the cross-country element of this triathlon, as Phoebe Hughes gets her cross-country underway. Not sure whether, I mean, he's quite deceptive, Top Yats, in the way that he covers the ground, and the way that William always rides his horses. You think he's never really travelling, but it's so deceptive.
Yes, it'll be interesting to see, because he's got a very scopy stride, this Top Yats, wherever he is. It'll be interesting to see how he makes it on the tighter turns, and therefore how the clock reads for him. So this lovely French, this is a jolly good rider, this Josephine. I always hate saying anything when they're just about to jump, but she's always been in such a good balance and such a good position. She's giving her lovely little mare, lovely gelding, Vive d'Or Lily, every chance. Whoa, a little bit run into the bottom there, but you know, she sat back, gave the horse every chance to get the front end up. It doesn't matter, especially that fence, because it's got such a soft top.
Well, she turns now to the first of the waters, the Bailey's Horse Feed Water at 11A and 11B.
You see the scope in that stride there. There's
Absolutely.
a lot of distance between the front legs and the back legs, and very well manoeuvred with the footwork. He came in disunited, and it didn't bother him. And well ridden Phoebe,
Lost
because
her stirrup.
he looked at, had a little eye for the right of that fence, and she said, no, we're not going right, there's a fence. And absolutely, he nailed it, and Stirrupless nailed the next one too. Well done, the pair.
Well, new starter joining us on course now for Belgium. This is Anne van Dijk. She is lying in second place after the dressage with Cooley Earl, former Georgie Strang, Georgie Campbell ride Cooley Earl, 27.0 in second in the silver medal position.
Beautiful style from both of them through there. As we come to the finish, Yves Dolily and Josephine Heteau, a really super round. I should be surprised if that hits the time, but it's not going to be that far away, I would like to think.
Held on the course for a considerable time, so that'll all be worked out.
Jumped straight off, well done. The horse walking.
14 A, B and C. Next away, individual for Germany, Jana Lempool, ride number 312.
So waiting down at the start there.
Right.
Yeah, next to go will be the final rider. In fact, going back to the individuals, and it will be Jana Lemkel with Chiara D'Amour representing Germany. 9-year-old mare as we go to Phoebe Peters. Phoebe coming to the bunker, that bunker fence at 16 A, B and C.
Beautiful, beautiful turn. Lovely looking at the fence as he got there. He's not reached 15 and still be at international level for nothing, this horse. He's got a good brain. He works things out. He's had a lovely jump. A little bit of a stumble there, but Phoebe doesn't move. She's got a great balance as a cross-country rider, and clearly as a dressage rider too, if they came out top of the dressage.
Well, this is Phoebe's 6th European Championship. She's been a former individual gold medalist at the pony level in Sweden, in Malmo, and Mill Street in Ireland. And team gold as well. Well, in fact, it was a team silver.
Interesting, keeps changing one front leg and not changing the other hind leg, so ends up disunited and now back to the left. And now changed to the right front leg, and the right hind leg still hasn't caught up, still disunited. Some horses just like to do it that way. It's not up to us, really. If they want to go disunited, then crack on, keep jumping. I think he's feeling a little bit weary coming out that water.
Just gave him a little smack behind the saddle
but
just
also
to wake him up.
They're turning away from home at that point, and they may just be saying, hang on a minute, home's over there. And so you're just saying, yeah, come on, we've just got a few more to go. This way, please.
So we just catch up with Chiara D'Amour and Jana Lemkel. They jump out over the first 3 fences. Cooley Earl, this lovely big horse with a dressage of 27.0. Anne van Dijk in the saddle, coming to the water at 11.
Irish bred horse by the Dutch sire Ramiro B. I think I'm right in saying he's Dutch, but he's produced a lot of horses in Ireland. Imported sire. And that looked like a really good job. So a beautiful stride out over that last element, and away they go. Cooley Earl, Anne van Dijk, and 14 years old for Belgium. That's the horse that's 14. These riders are now somewhere between 17, 18 and 21. So growing up fast now and looking, in my view, much more mature and strong in their riding than what we had when we watched the juniors, who very much impressed me nonetheless.
Yeah, they certainly have, as Jana Lemkel and Chiara D'Amour disappear from 5 around the corner onto what is the Hartpury Equine Academy Acorn. Hartpury Academy, who do so much here at Hartpury, sponsoring the 6th fence.
that lovely green ribbon I was just wanting to point out, because as we all know, it's been a cracking good hot summer, and the amount of water that's been put on the ground. Oh! That was nearly the end of the last fence, but well done, Phoebe. You made it happen, and
So the
top
ice house,
backs,
no
you
problem
kept on your
for
feet.
Anne van
Superb.
Dijk and Cooley Earl.
Yeah, Ali Butler there, right, Dave Burton there,
with
a hard-working vets and grooms. They travel all around the country, all around the world with the British team. Ali, my next-door neighbour, actually. Handy having a vet next door.
Back to
Cooley Earl.
Very neat front legs in over that drop fence, and very neat again in front of the ledge out. And Anne's got a very clever horse to get out of that, because the stride that she wanted him to take, he didn't. But luckily she stayed with her balance well out the way, sat up really well, so he was able to pop in a little stride and out over it with no problem.
Well, just waiting for Phoebe Hughes' time to be confirmed. It wasn't the fastest. She will open up the door slightly. New starter for Italy. This is Eugenia Rumi with Castle Richmond SRS. The time for Phoebe Hughes, Top Yats, rounding a time of 8 minutes 34, 5.2 time, and they complete on 30.9. So that will open up the door in this section. She still goes into the lead. It is Great Britain 1, Great Britain 2 with All We Need, and Millie Ulaf in second on 31.4. But a new leader at the moment. It is Top Yats and Phoebe Hughes, 30.9, still 4 that could go above her. Amanda Anderson and Jersey, last team rider for Sweden. It's a 12-year-old Swedish warm-blood mare by quarterback, owned by Rebecca Anderson.
And bred by her, by the look of it.
Like dying a little bit.
So Anne van Dijk and Cooley Earl, they're now over the
very nerve-wracking time. This is when you wonder why you do it. You have to dispel those negative thoughts and get into the zone as best you can. As Cooley Earl comes to the last combination through the archway, it's just more for the spectators and the horses out. Although some horses get a bit dodgy about going through an archway, but by this level in their education, they're pretty cool about such things. The green strip of Galloping Lane is beautifully tended by Hartpury's Waterworks and their own personal lake. You can see how brown it is where the water hasn't needed to go.
This will be their fourth rider.
So some people just walk round before the start, others need to switch their horses on. As we said earlier, every horse has a different attitude, a different temperament, just like people. And you have to learn what it is that gives your horse the initiative to take himself over the fences. Lovely done, well done. The big fairy breastplate, Michael Ewing has made these very popular, although they've been going for many, many years. Gives the horse a bit more freedom than the breastplate that goes down between his front legs.
Well, as Jarno Lemkel goes up towards the Burkett's root balls at 19, here they come.
Very well ridden that, just on a small canter stride, let it get to the bottom, look what it was doing. And now hopefully quality of canter is so good that they can pop in that third little stride and have no trouble at all. We've seen a few that have come off that mound a little bit arms and legs everywhere, and some have paid the penalty in that double after, and some have got away with it.
So this is our
big kick.
Italian combination. Eugenia Rumi and Castle Richmond SRS coming down to the water. The Bailey's horse feeds water at 11 A and B. Just a little tap behind the saddle to wake this horse up.
And you can see he's in a gag bit, which is a bit which you need when you've got a strong horse, and he looks a very strong bodied horse, whereas she looks very petite. And it's quite an incongruous mix, but she's doing as well as she can manage, my goodness, and he's taking her beautifully. But it will be quite a horse to ride this, especially as he gets a little bit tired.
So away from the start box and jumping the first, this is Amanda Anderson with Jersey. Amanda, first time as a young rider. She's been to one previous junior championships. That was at Marsbergen. But now here for their very first Young Rider European Championship, this 12-year-old chestnut mare by quarterback.
Certainly changing the leaderboard overnight here in this three-phase competition.
Just waiting for them to come down
Can
to
see this,
the academy fence.
this horse, when he comes into view, you'll see he has a white bit in, and the white bit is made of some sort of plastic compound, and is usually worn by horses that are quite sensitive and don't particularly like metal bits in their mouth.
Yeah, having just jumped that equine academy fence, really trying to raise the awareness of Hartpury Equine Academy, which supports riders competing at levels, at affiliated FEI level with their sports, in dressage, show jumping, eventing, while studying for an academic qualification. Lots more information is on the website. You can find out all of the information. I think this has been running, this whole place here, since the 1940s. And it has just grown year on year. We're hugely grateful to Hartpury for allowing these championships here. It's been an absolute spectacle from start to finish.
Well, that was a particular spectacle, because she took off almost higher than the horse jumped the fence. But she's got great balance, this girl, and she's still right there. And I believe somebody reminded me that Hartpury had its 100-something anniversary in 2016. I'm not quite sure what anniversary that was. Somebody said 150, but no, it hasn't been going 150 years. So, here we go at the start.
Yeah, new start of this is Pau Catalasoni with Batek.
Off he goes, 17-year-old stallion. Last team rider for Spain, who have really impressed us. Lots of support from Viva España. Both in the juniors that we had this morning, the Junior International, and the young riders, we've seen some really good Spanish riding. It's very exciting when these nations start to really, well done, start really to pick up the skills that they need to succeed at this ever-increasing standard of eventing.
Yeah, it really is. And interestingly, this horse in Batek is owned by Valentina Torres. No stranger to the world of eventing.
Totally unbothered by all the decorations that some of the earlier junior horses were bothered by. Just, they're sort of more experienced, these horses. They've had a few more difficult courses, really, in their lives, so they are more used to all the trappings that championships have. And this was just easy run through that fence for him. Oops, well done. Quick old gather back of the reins and sit back and keep kicking, and away they go over the two skinnies, and some of them finding a really long open stride to that last one, some of them just sitting and waiting. Whichever you do by instinct, whatever feels right. You can't predetermine how many strides you're going to do. You've got to ride by the seat of your pants, and that was a beautiful example.
Championship fence 14 for Amanda Anderson.
Well, we're right into the last few riders in the Young Rider Cross Country here at the FEI European Championships of 2022. We're just going back to the Swedish rider Amanda Anderson and Jersey as they come to the event, the three-part combination.
Just watch the horse's eyes. This is a wonderful little mare, and you can see her eyes working out. They've never walked the course. She's 12 years old. Her rider would have walked it several times and really made sure of every line, but the horses never have seen it. So you watch them summing it up, working it out as they come in. It's a wonderful thing to watch a horse's eye. And beautifully over the last fence for Castle Richmond and Eugenia Rumi for Italy. Very happy, Eugenia.
Yeah, coming down the hill, this is Batek and Pau Catalasoni And this horse used to be ridden by Alberto Hermoso Barras and also Gordon Murphy, so had some good experience. And Valentina Torres, the owner, on towards the first of the waters.
So another horse who's had some very confident experiences through his life at different events with a couple of different riders who've really known their stuff. Ooh, wasn't so sure of that though, was he? Well sat, well ridden with Amanda.
No, that's Pal there, just jumping through there, Pal.
Sorry, good
the
Pal,
Spanish
well
rider.
Yeah, it's another excellent display of Spanish reacting to the situation that was under them. Thank you for that help on the name.
This is Amanda here.
Thank you. And now we've got a new starter at fence 4. Matteo Orlandi, Italian team, last rider, quality in time.
33.3 the dressage, lying in 11th place so far by OBOS Quality 004 and owned by Morganti, Lara Maria Morganti, and trained by Massimiliano Orlandi. Second place at the Young Rider Italian Championships and competed up to 4-star level himself.
Take away for Ireland.
5 left to go. All of those team members. There's the Italian rider.
Interesting that he's by OBOS Quality, which was the Irish, he lives in Ireland, he's not Irish, he sired Pippa Funnell's horse that won the last Burghley, which was a cracking big and difficult course, and he was, I think, only 9. He was quite a young horse, and Pippa rode him absolutely brilliantly, and this horse is by the same sire.
Coming into our view, there they are. It is Matteo Orlandi.
Whoa, flying through here, beautiful. If that turn was a little sharper, that could be tricky, but it's actually positioned in a very nice way that it doesn't mean you have to pull your horse's teeth out to get round the turn. And then you can flow on over this, and then you're brought to the tree root on the bump. You have to go down into the 2 brushes below. We've had the camera taken off that for the moment, that's okay. Back to the start. Jennifer Kuhnler for Ireland, Sammy Davis Jr., their last team rider. And there we see Parle making a good job of the route and the 2 brushes. And down the hill in a perfect balance. See how that ground is cutting in. And this is our very hard summer, and that's how much water and care has been taken by Hartpury College to produce going worthy of these top international horses at their level.
So Matteo Orlandi, quality in time, as you said, by OBOS Quality 004, and it was MGH Grafton Street by the same sire. I think he was 11 when he won Babington.
Was he? He was older than I thought.
And
Burghley, actually.
but when Burghley,
Yes, excellent.
in 2009, she actually fell at Babington this year on him, didn't she? Unfortunately.
I think she did have an unfortunate moment.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly. Just not a good day for her.
No,
that day.
it really wasn't. We go to the Irish rider, and the last for Ireland, Sammy Davis Jr., Irish sport horse, 13 years old, by Imperial Heights, owned by, well, a former medalist at European Championships, not only in the Ponies Juniors Young Riders, but also at Senior. He was a bronze medalist in Le Moulin. It's Cashel Daniels, the owner, along with Margaret Kinsella.
George, 4 horses left to start.
And waiting down there patiently, Calvin Bockman, another medalist, previous medalist, hiding behind the tree.
Yeah,
Well, next to come onto the course then, we'll have Calvin Bochmann with Albert.
So that's the way it happens. Some are trotting round, some are cantering
Riding
round,
forward,
walking
yeah.
round, others standing still, retaining that little bit of extra energy. Everybody does their own thing. Some horses are very wired and don't really go into the start box because they're so excited. I think this is one of them because he's got a leader. And you have to be very clever if you've got one that gets so excited about going that he doesn't even get to the start box. You need a leader and you have to sit very passive on top.
So connections of the Spanish team,
out of the riding position for a minute. And this is a really interesting Italian rider because he's riding much more like a German or an English in his balance. Some of the Italians for the juniors were just propped a little forwards, which was how the Italians used to ride. The great Piero Raimondo D'Anzeo from show jumping in the 60s and 70s had the most incredibly wonderful classical seat, but it worked for them brilliantly show jumping, but that slightly forward seat doesn't work so well in the rough and tumble of cross country. And this Italian rider is really, Matteo's really got a good feeling for keeping his body out of trouble.
Away from the start, Calvin Bochmann and Altair de la Sens, 27.1 the dressage, very well placed, handily placed after dressage. And if he can go clear inside the time, anywhere near it, he could go to the top of the leaderboard, because only two can go ahead of Phoebe Hughes, and that is the two that are out on course, Jennifer Gunler and Calvin Bochmann. Altair de la Sens coming on to the third, former gold medalist back in 2015, I think it was, at Ponies. This is his first young riders, though, Calvin Bochmann, and he's in a good position. Back to the Irish rider, Jennifer Gunler, Sammy Davis Jr.
Very well ridden indeed. That was Jennifer Kühnler.
And here we have the German final term German team rider, Calvin Bochmann, Altair de la Sens, coming up to 5 as he meets that rising ground.
The final team rider is usually the strongest. They've got to pick up the pieces and they have a chance of the individual title too, because it's generally believed that you get a better dressage mark the later you go, and I know that isn't meant to be true, but it's sort of human nature, it sometimes does happen. So the number 4 is the strong man. Matteo just having to say, come on, you're okay. You've only got another short bit to go, just keep going. Sometimes horses just say, I think I'll just walk home now, and you say, no, actually, we haven't done all that fitness work for you to walk home.
Well, just going back up the course to Jennifer Gunler with Sammy Davis Jr. Well, a horse that's owned by Margaret Kinsella. Ooh, little stumble in the bottom. That was very well sat.
She did. She hardly moved, and the whole of the front end of her horse disappeared from front of her. It's a very unnerving feeling. Well done.
Owned also by Cackle Daniels, who rode this horse up to 4-star level. Won Chatsworth, actually, Chatsworth International on this horse. Rode it at Blenheim and at Bramham. And the Italian rider, good round for him, for Matteo Orlandi, and quality in time, safely home. We're going to check on his time, but the two out there that we're really interested in, not that we're not interested in Matteo's round at all, is Jennifer Kühnler, who could go ahead of leader at the moment, Phoebe Peters, Phoebe Hughes, sorry, Phoebe Hughes, and also Calvin Bochmann could go ahead as well. Altair de la Sens. We go back to Jennifer Kühnler.
Lovely job.
And this is Calvin Bochmann coming to the water at 11.
And he's got what I call a really big open ground covering stride. So provided he's quick to change gear down and up, he should be very close to the time. If everything goes well, big into the water. Managed to hold his balance when he landed 5 feet further down. And the Calvin is sitting in a lovely balance, keeping the horse just where he needs to be kept. But the horse has his own brand of enthusiasm, which he's learnt to handle really well.
Jennifer Kuna then coming to the water, 19A and 19B, the Hartpury Shields. And the last time these horses get their feet wet, another stumble, very nearly went down again. It's funny how many of them are doing that. It's funny, time and again you see the rider roll, even if you don't see the horse stumble, but that time they all rolled. Funny, I wonder what that is. So our third last to go, this is Smokey and Bo Postumus for the Netherlands, 36.3 dressage. Smokey, Irish sport horse, 12 years old by A. Quidam M. Bred by James McHugh and owned by Bo herself. So a lot of French breeding in here, if Quidam's got in there, I would say. Each country claims certain horses for themselves, so you never quite know what you're watching. It's actually dropped in Ireland, and it's called Irish type thing. There is Molly Faulkner down at the start with Mother Amanda on to the left of the picture. Molly, hugely experienced, and she'll be about to set sail on this cross-country course. Kulmi Cooley, she rides here today, 32.4 the dressage. And Molly, she completed Blenheim 4-star long last year, silver medal at the Pony Europeans. Calvin Bockman at the bunker. Got some very handy riders here to take the place of the older brigade of senior event riders in Germany who have done a powerful good jobs since the earlier part of this century. And these guys that we're watching today, both in the juniors and the young riders, they're going to be very, very strong for the next foreseeable future if these guys stay in the sport. Very talented lot. Yeah, really are. They are the stars of the future. And it's a wonderful programme that's in place, but not only just in the UK with lottery funding, but all around the world. They're really catching on. Well ridden, because his horse was not quite expecting that. Oh my God, I can't believe it. That is chances gone for Calvin Bockman. Coming down the hill, it slightly went wrong at the first part, one would feel. We need to see that again, because I hadn't spotted that coming until it came into the first brush. And I'm so sad, because it's my fault. Commentator's curse, hey? This is a lovely horse streaking along there. Lovely grey Irish French bred, I suspect, with the sire named as Quidam. Just carefully and over the water. Well, quick thinking. Yes, very quick thinking to take the alternative. Well, she's coming back to it. She's just going to get her knitting back underway, because she still has to come back to 12A, but it's a much straighter line, isn't it? Right. Oh, she's actually going the longer route, and then she'll come back out to 12B. Don't jump that one. Bypass that one. And then go to 12B. That's the 12A over on the far side. Now, if you've all understood what Spencer's understood and I haven't, you're doing really well. You're an event rider in the making. Molly Faulkner is away. Kulmi Cooley, 32.4, last team rider for Great Britain. This will be Molly's now third European Championship. She was a team silver medalist from Aarhus in Wilhelmsburg in Denmark back in 2016. She went to Kapsavar in Hungary on the pony team. This is her first young riders, though, and this will mean the world, not only to herself, but also to Mother Amanda Faulkner, owned by her mother Amanda and Andrew Thompson. 11 years old, this gelding. Charlotte Gray, I think, started this horse off in the beginning of his career. We'll have a quick look at the leaderboard in the teams as we go down to the last team riders. Not much change at the moment, but there will be in a second, because that has not updated with Calvin Bockman's score, who was sadly eliminated with that fall. So it might mean that Great Britain will go into the lead, but Molly Faulkner has a job to do. Molly riding for the team, the last member. Weight is on her shoulders.
Would it not be good to see?
Well, good news for connections with the German team, Calvin Bochmann and
Well, stuck on. Oh, look, no stirrups, and she jolly well didn't have a runner and didn't fall off. Keep going, because you've got a big one coming. And she got her stirrup back. It isn't always easy to get them back when you're under pressure like that. Oh, but she's decided to just give herself
No, she's been held.
time.
She's been held. There was a red flag.
Of course she is.
Yeah.
Of course she is. Well spotted on the red
so
flag.
red flag there. You just see the fence judge there in the red top with a red flag. So that was confusing when they ran in front of that horse. What am I looking at?
Done.
Red flag and red horse.
So,
unfortunately, Smokey and Bo Posthumus will be held down at the apple cart just whilst the veterinary team and medical team are taking care of Calvin Bochmann and Altar de la Sens up at the little root balls at 18, having parted company. We're getting news on him as quickly as we can. Molly Faulkner is still running. Now, they have the ground jury and also the control team. They have every right. If Molly is running really well and running super, they have every right to go past this horse. But we're getting news in on Calvin Bochmann, and that is good to see. Both up on their feet. There is Calvin left of screen, just walking away. It was not a comfortable fall. Clearly upset about that. And right of screen is Altair de la Sens, who's been washed over and looked at. The veterinary team very quickly on site. And looks like Alex Cahoon there, former medalist himself and rider. And he does a lot of work with the British team now. Jeff Sinclair, one of the TDs. Bo Posthumus, Smokey, still being held.
Interesting how she kept in trot.
Yeah.
Which a lot of people feel that if they've been galloping, they should warm down through trot. And she did, and looks like she's been told that she can start again, so she goes back to a particular point.
It just depends whether the ground jury, whether the control team did stop Molly. I believe that she has been stopped, because if they're going to let Bo now get back underway, well, I don't know. Is she not?
I think she's just gone back to her point where they've taken her time.
Yeah.
It's sort of mildly confusing, but when you have to stop a horse, you take its time before you show him the red flag, so that you've got the time of him going at the speed he was going, and then they're sent back and they start again, and you click the watch again as they come past that particular spot where you first
If you remember to do it.
I don't.
Well, there is Calvin Bochmann.
And there's his air jacket
clearly.
that's blown up on his
I hope he's
spine.
not crying, because if he's crying, I cry. I'm a total wimp. But it's heartbreaking, and especially Tim Randall there, one of the veterinary team left of screen. Tim, of course, very well known for his rides around top level 5-star with legs 11. Calvin is clearly upset, bless him. Oh, I feel for him. Heart goes out to him and his connections, because it's awful, it really is, and you don't want to let yourself down, let your team down, and he is a member of the German team and lying so well after the dressage. And just that little mistake, we may get to see it again, we may not. The rain looks like it's coming down as well now. Yeah, just opened the door, the rain is coming down. Just thought I saw that top of the screen. It's difficult to see on the picture. So, Bo Posthumus, Smokey. I don't know. We don't know if Molly has been held, and it does look like Bo's going to get back up to speed.
She must have been
and
held.
She'll be coming on quickly back up to speed too, with a blaze coming on to this apple cart. She means business.
Yeah,
Smokey, you're going to jump this whether you like it or not.
Yes, because she wants to get a good waking up jump here, because now she's got the difficult fence that we've just had to wait for poor old Calvin to clear himself and his horse away from. So now she'll rock back, smaller canter, and slow down, and legs on.
Steady, steady.
Oh, very good footwork from our Smokey there. Smokey's not got his Irish blood for nothing. Good boy.
Well, yeah, nicely down through that combination at 18. On to the Hartpury University. Shields in the water at 19 A and B. Molly Faulkner, meanwhile, Call Me Cooley.
Never a good thing to be stopped in front of one of the more difficult fences on the course. It's probably caused the most trouble. And so good for Bo getting cracking again at the apple cart before and then doing a beautiful job at the root ball.
Just out in the middle of the course. Dad, I told you to bring the umbrella.
But why? It was sunny 5 minutes ago.
Well, down there that's the seams of the start box, and great to see riders coming back out to support their teammates. It really is a team spirit event, and being at a European Championships, Tina was saying as well, having the juniors and the young riders here is unique, and it's been such an amazing atmosphere. But to have the eventing and the dressage, she said it felt like a World Championships.
Yeah, I can imagine it did, and I so agree with you. It's wonderful when they all come together.
I'm not a fan of losing the World Equestrian Games. I liked it being a Games, like we have an Olympic Games, we have a European Championships, but now calling it a World Championships, it's taken quite a long time for my head to get around that. But being a World Equestrian Games, of course, we've got Pretoni coming up, Herning next week with the dressage, and also the show jumping, the vaulting, and the para dressage all under one roof.
So you've nearly got the World Games. It's just eventing that's gone
driving.
Italian. And driving, of course. How could I not remember driving? So sorry.
Well, here is Molly Faulkner. Molly with Call Me Cooley coming down to the castle fence, this castle wall, sponsored by Jump One. And she'll now make her way to the first of the two waters out here on course.
Beautiful rangy stride, but look how well he's shortening up his stride so he can get into a little bundle of power to pop into the water. Just a couple of games to do at the same time, which is just what you don't want, but it didn't seem to matter. Well done. Beautiful balance from Molly. Lovely jumping from Call Me Cooley.
Some very exciting news that I can bring you is that going into the show jumping tomorrow, it will be gold and silver Great Britain in individual. That would be Phoebe Hughes. She had a few time penalties, but she has gone into the lead, holding on to her lead, and clear inside the time, Millie Juleff and All We Need. She was our second inside the time and is in silver. Two riders that could go into bronze. One of them is out there right now, and we have one of them about to start, and that is our last to go, Julie Simonet, and c'est some chord d'or by Yarland Summer Song, the wonderful Yarland Summer Song, owned by Catherine Larazet. 16 years old, this horse, 31.9, could go into the bronze. It will be a French bronze going into the show jumping because there's three chances, 3 bites of the apple that they have. Zazie Gardot is in bronze at the moment on 32.1. Just waiting for that score to come in for Josephine Hedo. That has not come in yet.
Coming to the, what I call the bomb crater, but it isn't, and Molly Faulkner doing another lovely smooth line through those 3 fences and on to the picnic table. He's got a beautiful rangy stride. He's going to really looks for 5-star horses.
It's going to be frustrating because the time for Josephine Hedo, she was held out on course, so they're just redoing her time, Once that is in, we will know where she will go. But it's going to be Great Britain 1-2 in the team competition. That's being updated too as we speak. But for now, Great Britain are in the lead in the team competition on 97.6. France second, 103.1. It will be down to the last, and it's always the way, the last few riders out on course. Molly Faulkner, Courtney Cooley, could be a counting score. It could be Iba Watson's 37.8. It depends on how many time penalties Molly Faulkner has around the course.
Well, she's popped through those shields in the water. That was fence 19 for her, and now slightly uphill towards the nursing table at 20.
Well, Molly Faulkner a few moments ago going to the Hartpury shields at the final water. Courtney Cooley, ears pricked.
See how she lands. They land and turn, and it's the turn that seems to unbalance them a bit, but no such problem with Courtney Cooley. Easy get away from the second shield. He looks a very light on his feet horse, very athletic horse with a similarly athletic rider. These horses come in so many shapes and sizes, so many breedings. It's really hard to spot an event horse. I think it's easier to spot a dressage horse and a show jumping horse because it's neat talent in one area, but this is talent spread over 3 areas, as well as being able to stay sound and last for many years, because so many years of training goes in to get the horses to this level, which is only halfway up the ladder. So you really want to choose a horse that has tremendous physical soundness.
Well, just coming down the hill now. This is our last to go. Julie Simonet for France, and some Cordor down to the castle.
And this horse's sire, Alan Summersong, was in the Atlanta Olympic Games for France, and then turned into a top-level show jumper and sire.
Marie-Christine Deroy?
Exactly.
No. Yes.
It was her that rode it, and then he was bred by a little diminutive horse called Fleetwater Opposition, who was only 15-1 and was in the junior European team all those years ago. And he produces amazingly scopy Alan Summersong and a whole host of other wonderful Fleetwater horses, of which there is, well done, many, many running round events all over the world now.
One fence to go then, and she will...
Well, on to the final fence. Molly Faulkner just has to jump that last with Courtney Cooley, much to the excitement. Punches the air. Very well done to the final rider. The British team all running to congratulate her. Amanda Faulkner there, just getting a pat from Ali Butler, the team vet. Very emotional scenes at the end of the cross country. Spike Milligan there as well, another one of the vets. It's a small army of people that make these events happen behind the scenes. You know, the riders and the horses, they go out there, they're on their own, but behind the scenes, hours and hours and masses of people to make the dreams happen.
Yeah, so true. Without every cog, none of us could get anywhere. So we await first come called Dor from France, and Julie Simonet, last member of the French team, 16 years of age and Anglo-Arab. A lot of very good French breeding through the Anglo-Arab lines. Very tough horses usually. Hard to generalize, as we all know, but it seems to be the way of the desert Arable. Very well balanced. In and out of the bunker.
Well, just getting a score in for Molly Faulkner and Courtney Cooley, round in a time, adjusted time of 8 minutes and 14 seconds, so no jumping, no time penalty. She completes on 32.4, and that is brilliant news for the British team. Means that they go through into the show jumping on 97.6 in gold medal position. Julie Simonet, the last rider, they could affect the team standings as well, but it will be Great Britain going into the show jumping in gold.
As Julie comes to take this difficult competition, beautiful balance and a lovely line and really, really well ridden. She probably watched the television of a few that didn't get so lucky and really was able to make that happen with some very good riding and balancing.
Great. Yeah, thank you. Julie Simonet through the final water. The standard's been brilliant, hasn't it?
Very, very high. It's wonderful. The gap between juniors and seniors. There never used to be young riders in my day. You just had to go straight into seniors after juniors. And I think this level has been such a brilliant one to just give them that bridge between the juniors and the seniors. And it's sort of 17 to 21, and it's the time when really you felt lost once you left the juniors because you were no way ready for the seniors. And it's a great little filler in.
Well, just coming towards home, Julie Simonet, the final combination, 47th out of the start box with Sam Cordor. The two stone walls.
Very well ridden. And off for a lovely gallop up the green strip. A bit like a golf course, but it isn't. It's a International Championship event course. Waiting at the last fence. The final combination, the French combination, bringing up the rear for her team. Since we last saw her, she's got two other fences, hopefully not too difficult. Don't think they've caused any problem, and then she'll come winging around this corner, balance up, and the last fences shouldn't be a problem, but as we all know, things can go wrong at the last fence when you lose a bit of concentration or take a chance. No such problem for Julie Simonet.
Yeah, great round for Julie Simonet, Sam Cordor. Well, it'll all come down to the time for the French combination, and provisionally 4.4 time penalties.
And what a great day's competition from all our competitors.
We'll get that confirmed, but if that is confirmed, 8 time, 39.9 will drop her down the leaderboard and may affect the team score as well. But a wonderful day of competition here at the FEI European Championships for eventing the juniors and the young riders. A change in the leaderboards in many, many ways, but the course that the amazing man himself in Eric Winter did put out, tested the brave, tested the bold, and it really did prove to be a true championship track from start to finish. Well, these are the individual results after the day of cross-country for the young riders, and there's no change at the top. It's Phoebe Hughes who will lead going into the show jumping on 30.9. Millie Yulev in second in silver medal position, 31.4, with Zazie Gardou in the bronze medal position, 32.1. Molly Faulkner just completing with that really impressive round, 32.4 in fourth. Paula Reinstorff for Germany in fifth. Alice Casburn, lots of British flags in the top 10 with Jennifer Kuna and Alana Kenny for Ireland 7-8. Linus Richter 9. Ibel Watson in 10th for Great Britain on 37.8. And then further down, Polly Muirhead, another brilliant round. Jana Lemkel and Sive Bolger, Jade Boris-Joey, Julie Simonet. It has been incredible. Zara Nelson there for Ireland in 19th with Camilla Luciani rounding out the top 20 on 41.6. One fence, though, separating the top 7 riders in the individual standings. It is all to play for, and we will be live with the show jumping action for the young riders at 2:15. Make sure you do not miss that. Well, the team standings as well. It has been a wonderful day for teams and a change in the leaderboard for the teams as well. It has changed dramatically with the German team going into the cross-country in pole position, but with problems out there, and one of the biggest problems was that of Calvin Bochmann, who sadly parted company at 18C, coming down the hill from the Burkitt's route balls and parted company, meaning he was eliminated. It will be Great Britain going into the show jumping in gold medal position on 97.6, Germany in silver 109.6, and France in bronze on 111.11, on 111.1. We have seen thrills, spills and action from pillar to post. We hope you've enjoyed all of the action here at the FEI European Championships for eventing juniors and young riders cross country. Tomorrow the show jumping for the juniors at 10:30 live on FEI TV and Clip My Horse, and the young riders at 2:15. I thank my guests in Ginny Howe, Lucinda Green and Tina Cook, from myself, Spencer Sturmey and the whole team here at Hartpury. Thank you for watching and we'll see you tomorrow.